Constellation, Last Stand Media's conversational podcast, is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our podcast network, head to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to Constellation, Last Stand Media's conversational podcast. My name is Colin Moriarty. Today I'm joined by a very special group indeed. It's the Dukes +2, I guess. Let's go around the horn, say hello to everyone. We'll start with Lord Cognito. Cog, good to see you. How are you today, Mike? Is that what is on the shirt here? Is that? Oh, I thought it was Storm Shadow. Just it is Shinobi. I just saw the very top of it and the sword. Yeah, the sword. Yeah, Shinobi.
It's
nice.
funny you said that. I was going to wear my Storm Shadow shirt today. It's funny. I thought it was actually going to be Dagan, respectfully.
Yeah, no. It's all good. Yeah, he's doing the too many games with Dustin.
That's right. They doing the thing. That's right. Yeah, no, it's good, man. I was talking to you all earlier how it's been a minute since me and you have potted, so it's kind of good to get in the mix. And obviously, one half of my brethren is here, and obviously the park, man, it was good. So we got stuff to talk about. I'm excited, man.
Cool, man. Good to have you here. Welcome, Mr. Matty Plays. Good to see you. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing good. My hip's a little sore. We'll be talking about turning 30 today, and it's funny. I'm just already feeling the effects of my age, aren't I? But I'm doing good otherwise.
Sorry about your Oilers. I haven't spoken to you, I think, since all this.
Yeah. It's funny. My wife gets so many things, but when I went to vent to her about the Oilers, she's like, they'll be back next year. I'm like, they got back twice in a row and they lost to the same team both times. You don't know how crippling that absolutely is to them. I was like, I watched the Mets lose. In the last 10 years, I've watched my Oilers lose twice, my Rangers lose once, and my Mets lose once. I was like, I am 0 for 4 in my lifetime, and clock's ticking, bro. I want to see a championship in my lifetime.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
I've had I'm sorry, and my Falcons. I'm 0-5.
Yes, and then you got to the bowl. Yeah, you got right there all those times.
You're a Falcons fan.
Yeah, I've watched all my teams go, but never had the opportunity to, at this point, it's they're all in even playing field. In my heart of hearts, I think I love the Mets the most, but I'll take anything now, man. I'll take any championship at this point in time. But it was one of those things where just normally you get really sad, right? Man, we came so far. So that was last year. This year, bro, when I was watching it on my computer here, I was just a deadpan, soulless, emotionless,
bro.
Yeah, we lost. And just I wasn't even angry. Wasn't even sad. I just felt nothing. I was so numb after that. I was like, all right, whatever. This shit sucks, man. I hate sports.
Not to interrupt you, but I can relate to that specific play with your Oilers, with the Niners back to back. I mean, not back to back, but twice to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl and coming so close. And you're there. But what adds to yours is that you need that one chip. You haven't got that one chip from one of your teams yet. And I
want to buy the merch.
Yeah, I feel you.
I grew up a Yankees fan, so technically I got to experience their real golden era where Jeter and Tino, they all of course, but that's fraudulent, bro. Come on, I didn't know what the hell was going on, and once I came to my senses, I became a Mets fan. So I don't claim those. I don't claim those.
I feel you.
You're like that guy in The Boys watching the movie, and he's
Homelander.
I love that. Yeah. I love that guy. I've never seen one shot of the or one shot of that show, but I love all the memes, and I always bring them up. I love that guy. He's awesome.
I use them all the time, and then Locke was like, "You have to watch the show," and I did. It's really good. I enjoy The Boys.
Yeah, he's wonderful. I don't know. I don't know anything about it, but
Anthony Starr.
The Oilers need goalies.
You'd think that was the message last year. You'd think. I mean, dude.
Yeah, it was. If you have two,
fucking unbelievable to watch it this season. I was like, dude, this is the same shit. We're just getting rolled. Both our goalies, awful.
Yeah, it's weird.
Everyone knew this.
It's weird. It's very. I watched every game in the series, and I'm like, man, you need
Stuart Skinner is so bad.
He's the reason I think that they ultimately lost. And the other guy, Pitford or whatever his name is.
Pickard.
Yeah. And if you have two goalies, you have no goalies. The platoon goalie thing only has worked a few times. The Bruins in recent years, not this year, but they had fucking two. They would just go back and forth between their goalies because they were both awesome. But you want to ride your starter in the Stanley Cup Finals, in my opinion. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
I agree.
Gene Park with the Washington Post and punching up. Good to see you today, my friend. I see you have a Kojima shirt on.
Yep, I was wearing it earlier this week. So if people are wondering if I'm just wearing the same shirt, yes,
Yes, I am.
I am.
Did you watch it?
I
in
haven't watched it
between?
or anything like that. So, but that's the Death Stranding life, man. No life in Death Stranding, you know.
Yeah.
I finished the freeways this week, so it's nice and just complete in my game too. So
Nice.
I always like Colin referring to the Homelander guy because I also haven't watched The Boys at all. So I'm always like, oh, that
Homelander,
the evil
right.
Superman, the evil Superman guy who's like looking around and like looking worried or
He's great. Like just
being
the memes,
really
I'm like,
emotional, right? Like
the memes of
he
him are
emotes.
awesome. He's awesome.
All
Yeah,
the
he-
scenes that are memes live up to hype. Like he is that show. I mean, the rest of the cast around him is also really good, but like he is that show for sure.
Yeah. But it's gonna be like a Breaking Bad situation for me, where like a lot of people watch Breaking Bad and like they recognize it only through the memes. You know, they're like, oh, like this is when he cries, and
Yeah.
like like that must feel so weird to watch Breaking Bad and like be really into the story and just get like a really pivotal moment in the story. You just see the meme and you're just like, oh fuck, okay. You have to like readjust your brain. So
I
I
feel like
don't
that
know.
happens a lot, right? Like these super emotional moments just become like laughing, like they're just like the memes online all the time. Like people don't use them seriously; they always use them in jest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like when Walter White's crying, like he's not like not crying for like funny reasons, you know.
Yeah, it's actually like awful that part of the show, like why he's screaming.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like actually one of the most awful things that happens in the show.
Yeah, like the shot of him like screaming in the car. It's like no, don't do it.
I won't even say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. I love memes. I love GIFs very much.
Yeah,
they're fun.
I've become. I used to pride myself on finding new ones, but I've really become comfortable. My favorite one is definitely the Spider-Man 3 Tobey Maguire full rotate as he's like staring out of his apartment with this like very stern look on his face. I use that probably daily. I think it's the funniest thing because it's my reaction to so many things. Like, you got to be kidding me. I love it so much. I love any Tobey Maguire meme, to be fair, though.
Yeah, they're funny.
Yeah, the Spider-Man memes are very important.
S tier.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to be here with you guys today. It's Friday when we're recording. People don't like that when we remind them that. And then we're going into a nice little weekend here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's begin though. What are the topics here? Do any of you feel like you want? Oh, here we go. Okay, Maddie, let's start with yours. Yours is an interesting one to begin with. Stretch our legs.
Sure.
Take it away.
All right. Yeah. So like I spoiled earlier, wanted to talk about turning 30. That happened just last week on the 20th. And I was in North Carolina, as I talked about on Defining Duke, when I turned 30. And so, my wife and I went out for a little vacation, unplugged for a little bit. It was a really good time. But yeah, just like it to me is probably the biggest birthday I've experienced thus far. Like when I turned 20, didn't really blink. I'm like, damn, I'm still young. 30 is definitely that number that makes you realize, at least for me, it's like, okay, you're not really like a kid anymore. And I wanted to just discuss the feelings you guys experienced turning 30. I know some of you are beyond 30, where you can kind of look back on it in a way where you're like, yeah, like this is how I felt then versus how I feel about it now. I'm just looking for all that good perspective because my feelings were a little mixed. I'm one of those people, like I don't say this to like garner attention. I'm a little weird on my birthday. Always have been. When I was a kid, it was much different. But like once I think I passed 17, I want to say was the first time I experienced it. I get a little sad on my birthday. I always do.
I get that.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's common, but yeah, I just always get kind of sad. And so it's the one day of the year I feel most dependent on others to pick me up. Whether it be like wishing me a happy birthday or just going out and doing something. I don't know if it's the mortality of it, the reminder of like, wow, it's been a year or anything like that. I don't know really what it is. I've never analyzed it deeper than that, but I do get that way. So turning 30 and kind of being like, all right, you're not the kid anymore, right? Like, because for so much of my life, and I touched about this on Duke as well, so I apologize to the listeners who have heard this before, but like for a lot of my life, since I've been doing YouTube pretty successfully since I was like 18, really, a lot of my life I've just heard like, yeah, you're ahead of the curve, you're doing great, yada, yada, yada. You're so young, you still got so much time. And then you hit 30 and you're like, okay, like it kind of just processed with me. Like I'm like, okay, like I'm not technically ahead or behind. I'm just in the pack. And what does that exactly mean? And you assess the things you've done so far in your life. It's like, oh yeah, I've spent half my life in front of a camera, like just doing this ever since like I was really longer than that. My first YouTube videos were when I was in 6th grade. Like,
yeah, that's a long time ago.
Goes back that far. So more than half my life has been spent doing this. And I'm like, what does the next chapter look like? Do I have a next chapter? Those sorts of things, like arguably midlife crisis sorts of thoughts. But I am known to pontificate quite a bit. So yeah, my birthday brought some of those thoughts about. And I'm curious if you guys were as reflective on during your 30s, if you were thinking similar things, and sort of what advice you'd give to the new 30-year-old in the group. So that's really all I have to sort of tee it up as. I think the conversation will kind of take it away, and we'll pick at different angles of it. But yeah, just turning 30. Whoever wants to go first and talk about their age, by all means.
Yeah, I guess I'll just jump in. And this is interesting. What you said just now really resonated with me, because I also get sad on my birthdays, and I don't like my birthday. It's like, what is really exciting about losing another year? I mean, when you're a kid, it's exciting. You're 14 or whatever, or you're 16, you're 21, big ages.
Yeah.
To get to. But after that, yeah, I don't look forward to getting older. And what I've come to realize about like turning 30 and just being older, I'm 40 now, which is crazy. And I'll turn 41 in October, is I'm always astounded by how little I knew at those times in my life about reality, and yet still got through those times. In other words, I was like a contributing member of society when I was like 25. I had a job and a girlfriend and did what I had to do and lived a decent life or whatever, but I didn't know anything. And 30 was the age, I feel like, when I started to solidify what I knew and who I was. The entire adage that like people can't change and leopards don't change their spots and things like that. And you start to realize, yeah, that is true. Like it is, you are kind of who you are, and it becomes hardened. And then as I've gotten older, even from 30, I've started to realize like why I am the way I am. And that's probably, I don't know if you've had that revelation yet, but I have, and I've gotten into this ad nauseum, so I'm not going to get into it. But like, I never even really thought. So like you accept you are who you are, but then you wonder like, why are you the way you are? And that's the stuff that I've been dealing with more orbiting 40, and really thinking back on my life. So turning 30 does seem like I've said many times to people that like, I don't feel like you know anything until you're 25, and then you start really learning as you go. But when I even look back at myself when I was 30, so 30 would have been 2014, 2015. So that was around the time I left IGN and founded Kind of Funny. It's like, I still didn't really know anything. And I look back and I cringe sometimes about like, oh, why did you do this? Or why didn't you do this? Or why did you stay in this situation? Sure. Why were you with this person? Like wisdom and all of the rest. But 30 is a very serious age. I feel like that's a very, well, maybe every round 10 is a pretty, except for 20. 20 actually felt like the precipice of something. But yeah, 30, 40, 50, 60, I feel like these are all ages that stun people in different ways. And the thing I've been doing now recently is I've said that I've articulated this to Micah, like time, we always say time flies, and you look back and you're like, oh, half the year's gone or whatever. And so much has happened or whatever. But I've also been, as I've gotten older, realized like, yeah, time is moving inexorably and we experience it as we do and all of the rest, but so much has happened in those years as well. They're full of things that have happened and events, and they're actually quite dense. And I think that you'll probably notice that the older you get. So 30, yeah, I mean, it's a great age. I mean, I feel like that's where you're really like an adult.
Yeah. Not a kid anymore.
Right.
Or at least always a kid in spirit, right? But not a kid in, I mean, you really aren't after like what, 21. I feel like you kind of just exit that sort of like, you're okay. You got to like really take care of yourself now. But yeah, there's a lot you said there that I feel I could pick at, especially the understanding. You reflect and sort of understanding who you are, but also the people you keep in your orbit. That's something I started to go through entering 30, and I feel like I kind of accelerated that part of my brain listening to Cog talk. I think Cog, you were saying something maybe within the last 2 years, I want to say, about just like making cuts, just not dealing with certain energies. And I never really felt that way until this last year or so with certain people in my life where I was like, I don't have the energy to deal with this anymore. And it was tough for me to come to terms with that because I don't find myself to be a very bitter person at all. I'm definitely not an angry person. Like I am chill. And so when I started to get there, I was a little worried because I was thinking, this feels almost heartless. But as I start to realize we live such noisy lives, we're all in the online space. We hear a lot of things about ourselves. Kind of when you're in your own quiet time with the people you care about, it's not like it has to be perfect, but you don't want to deal with any horseshit, right? And I found myself this year really axing relationships significantly. And it's scary because, as you get older, I think it's tougher to make friends. But I've kind of just come to the terms of like, time almost doesn't matter with friendships to certain extents. By that, I mean, there are people who are not in my life now that have been in my life for like 20 years. And that was a little bit weird to stomach, where I view Cog as, for example, one of my closest friends, absolutely hands down. And I've only known Cog, 5 years, I don't know, but I trust you in my life. And that's the thing I've really started to accept in my entering my 30s. I was like, yeah, this time matters. Like friendships aren't fickle to me, but you learn how people put different values into their relationship. Like not like value sets, but like how much they care about that individual. And there's no better example than what I talked about in Duke Cog. A lot of people didn't reach out on my birthday. That did bum me out. Thank God my wife was there to kind of just take me away. She had a whole day planned. I had an absolute blast. But when you kind of sink back into it, you're like, yeah, like some people just don't give a fuck. And when you start to make those types of cuts and you realize when you enter your 30s, it's tougher to make those meaningful friendships. It's like, I have an older brother and like I watched him go through a similar thing, and he has very few friends now and he struggles with loneliness. And it's something that I get afraid of, but I'm like, would I rather have a lot of fake relationships around me or relationships that clearly don't care about me the way I need them to, and just kind of risk that and just being on a little bit of a smaller island, or again, just being surrounded by more people, but it's just not as real. So that was another thing I was kind of experiencing, but I think it kind of builds off what you were saying, Colin, about the idea of learning your values. And it's kind of crept into my career a little bit. Like I used to be very okay with like just people saying their piece and say the comment section. But I've talked to so many different creators and it's just like, I don't need to deal with mean people. Like I really don't. It's just not what I'm here to do. Especially like I've dealt with it my whole life. I've paid my dues of like reading shit, and letting people say their piece. And it's like I just kind of cut the cord on that. A little Death Stranding 2 there, cord cutter.
Should we have connected?
Yeah. Should we have connected? Comment section. Goodbye. I don't mean to make it too heavy, but yeah, that's kind of where I ended up on a value level. Kyle, I want to get some of your thoughts.
Yeah,
turning 30.
30, man, wow. That 30 is fun because I agree with Colin in the sense that I felt like that's when my manhood started. I know we'll potentially talk 20s, or I think Gene had 20s earlier, but we'll focus on 30s for right now. But I think for me, from the career side, it was like, okay, now I want to take my life to the next level. In this part, I'm like, I'm planning out like, okay, I'm ahead of schedule as far as my career and so on and so. And at that point, I was really entrenched with corporate. I was working at a construction company. called Skanska. They actually built. Colin has his jet set. I was there for the construction of, that was one of our projects, MetLife Stadium.
MetLife, yeah,
where they tore down the old stadium for the Giants and Jets played, and they would make it MetLife. And I was there when they broke the field, stuff like that. I set up the trailers. I helped these guys from an IT standpoint and build infrastructure while they're working on the construction of the actual stadium. Right.
That's awesome.
So in my life, I'm like, this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm making good money. You know, I was kind of a big deal, right? And this was I was feeling myself. I have pictures of me doing all this stuff. 30 was like the year of wearing suits. You know what I'm saying? I wear my little business suits and stuff like that. I'm going to a little corporate meeting. So I was like, okay, I am ahead of schedule. Trajectory's good. I will say 30 though you mentioned this, the whole thing about friends, and 30 is when I realized my emotional maturity of like things that would probably get me mad in my younger years or really set me off a spaz. I had to learn how to chill and process it. And I feel like I really became more emotional mature at that time, right? So that was that. The point you made, I learned at 30s, also in my 30s, was that you realize who has your back. You know, you really realize, oh, bro, like you, Colin, I know you know what I'm saying? Like, at that time there was a couple of, one or two like awful moments in my life where it defines who's going to like still stick with you, be around you. And I learned the reality, the tough one, Matty, is not family is just not family just because they're in name alone and blood alone. Yeah. Sometimes people step up to the occasion. The good part of it is people step up to the occasion that you did not expect. Mm-hmm. And they truly have your best interest in mind. And you go, wow, I was at my lowest point and I can count on that person. Yeah. And to the sad effect, people who you've known all your life betray you, abandon you, or try to come back after the event. Like, hey, God, no. Yeah. You revealed yourself. You know what I mean? At my lowest moment, you were not there, or you're making excuses, or you don't apologize. I started to hold people more accountable at that age.
I've realized people do not like that.
Yes,
not that I am a saint, but I've realized when I have accountability checked a few people in my life, they're like, what the fuck, bro? I'm like, people do not like it.
Yeah. And then that's what I had to get. Nice Cock had to get a little better. Like I wouldn't let it go until I got what I considered a sincere apology or sincere change in that person. That was the years of like cutting people off because I was like, you're not adding value to my life. You're either adding stress to my life or you're unreliable or you're here because of advantages or things you can get out of my friendship, right? You realize those things, man. But and then the last point, I think Colin also made a fantastic point, which is I started to realize why I am who I am. What events led me to become or to adopt these personality traits and stuff like that. Like I really started to put that together. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, I do suffer from a little bit of abandonment issues or certain things, and I realize why. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, man. So I think, it's coming into yourself, learning who you are, and then kind of like really, what I say, defining that who your true circle is, the people you can trust without question. And you're like, okay, that person has my back. And those are actually, even though they were tough learning periods, it's a satisfying feel. You're like, okay, I'm really starting to get this thing down, and again, with a point of, man, all my life prior to that, I was kind of, moonwalking, not really realizing, what was going on. I was just living. But now I kind of have an idea of what's going on is kind of what 30s was.
Well said. Yeah. Gene, let's hear from you. I'm curious how you felt turning 30.
Yeah. So I'm looking up an old tweet of mine where I talked about, so this is what I said just in May, actually. Well, I was quote tweeting someone posting a GIF of James Sunderland walking through Silent Hill 2, right? And then the caption is, "Your 20s are the best year of your life. Me in my 20s." And it's James Sunderland walking through the woods, the Silent Hill fogs, basically, in fast forward, right? And then so I quote tweeted and I said, "I always heard it's your 30s that are the best time of your life." And that tracked for me. It was a decade where I developed the most confidence in myself and my abilities and where my career started to peak as well. I'll get right back to that. Let me finish this real quick thought about this thread that you guys have about finding out who your real friends are, right? I actually just recently had a situation. I'm still that journey still continues today, where one of my oldest friends, someone I knew from Guam, this girl that I knew at the only internet provider on Guam, right? Like I met her way back then in my very first days of online. She recently blocked me and unfriended me because she quote unquote found out who Colin is, and then she has no idea about video games at all, right? But then when everybody was getting mad at me on Blue Sky about Colin, she decided to do a little research and found out who Colin is. And then
I wonder what she found. I wonder what she thinks. Like, I wonder what
she was like, I always knew this about you, Gene. I always knew about your politics ever since you. And then she brought up the time when I fucking let her stay at my house for that stupid ass Million Women March back in 2016.
Oh yeah.
And then she scolded me because I wouldn't go with her and wear a fucking pink hat like a slow person.
That shit was embarrassing. I agree.
And then walk around the National Mall, right? And it's like, I'm not even like I'm not even talking about like, the cause or whatever like that. Like I'm not supposed to attend those marches, If I showed up there in this current digital age of social media and someone took a photo of me and I just started my job at the Washington Post the year before, I would have been fired.
Yeah, they would have jettisoned you, no problem.
Absolutely.
That is what a real journalist does. You don't go out and talk about how you're going to vote for this person or vote for that person. And then you're talking about, oh, I'm so glad that this person won, or I'm glad this person lost, or oh, I'm going to go protest this. Someone got fired for attending those stupid ass like Jon Stewart and Colbert marches way back in like 2012,
Yeah, and they should. I mean, like to me, I want journalists should make a decision, especially at places like the Washington Post, not commentary journalists and shit like that and op-ed people, but like there's a choice to be made, I think, about being like, I'm going to try to be pure about, or I have my own opinions, but I'm going to try to portray myself as fairly as possible because it matters. And that's totally lost. So yeah, I think it's smart that you knew that at that time. Yeah,
and she didn't understand it, and that whole visit with her, I was so happy to host her, and I was like, oh yeah, totally, you go protest. That's totally cool. I'm not against it, obviously, right? But then when she started like fucking lecturing me about not wearing a fucking pink hat that she made for me, and then going to walk alongside her, I was just like, this is whatever. And then so she decided to act this way because of Colin, and I'm just like. What
is it? Well, what is it even about me, especially all these years later? It's so strange. You'd think that I would have been ruined by this point if like the rumors about me were, or the innuendo about my politics were true. It's just so strange.
She would bring up all these old Reddit posts and like these fucking like conspiratorial things, or like, like screen captures of tweets and like with circling around like certain words. And he said, look, he said Asian American here. Right? He's referencing race here.
I remember when I said I used the word transgendered, and they got really mad at me about that. I was like, it's transgender. And I'm like, yeah, but I was trying to like a person who's transgender. I didn't really know how to say it.
The worst I got it in Colin's stories was someone like said that, I forgot, it was during the whole Veilguard situation. Someone was talking about me and they said something that I know Colin said on his stream. I forgot what the fuck it was, but they said it was they literally like misquoted me for Colin. I was just like, whatever.
Lucky you.
Jesus.
Hey, bro, I ride or die by you. I don't give a fuck.
I appreciate that.
I mean, same here, right?
Likewise.
So like that's why it sucks that one of my oldest friends has to do that. I was like, well, fuck off then, whatever. I can't believe that you're acting this way over my perceived you should even fucking ask me what my actual political beliefs are. Like I've known you for 30 years, and you're gonna act this way. You can't just fucking ask me. Whether I support Trump or not, and I can just tell you like privately, Well,
these are the kinds of people that are like the reason I think I would peg your friend like, well, that's the wrong word to use. But I would peg your friend as someone who is the current thing. In other words, like there's a great meme right now that I saw of like the it's like the same person holding 4 different flags, and it says like March, April, May, June.
Oh, Ukraine now today.
It's like
this
Ukraine,
year.
Mexico, like and I'm like, these kinds of people are exhausting.
Mhm.
It's like it's just whatever the current thing is, and whatever they're told the current thing is, because they don't know what the current thing is.
Right.
And she strikes me as that kind of person, because only those kinds of people would be mad that you weren't out in the streets wearing a pussy hat.
Exactly.
Like it's The Handmaid's Tale. Like it's so and the act
No, listen. For me, it's
forget
just like for my. I must say, I've been very blessed. At least the people who I would say who don't like you, who still rock with me, at least are respectful enough not to bring it up to me or make an ultimatum. But I've had that ultimatum thing happen, and I was just like, look, I'm an era of diversity of thought. I don't like echo chambers, to be honest. So I like to hear different perspectives. So I said, if I'm friends with someone that has a different perspective and that gets you so angry that you can't associate with me, that's more a reflection on you, because you, how does that affect what me and you are doing?
Also,
it doesn't.
Yeah.
Also, my politics have only become more and more and more and mainstream in the United States. So like, you're mad at a majority of the United States at this point. Not for nothing. Like to pretend like the things I believe are fringe in any way is crazy at this point, like especially at this point. So that's the thing that gets me the most, is like, you're just willing to cut yourself off from most people. Like you look at these things that people get mad about, and then you look at the polling for it, and it's like 79% of people think illegal aliens should be deported or whatever. But then you see these people in the street acting like insane over it, and I'm like, I guess that's cool, that's your right, but stop trying to like alienate me based on like enacting like I'm a fringe figure. Maybe look in the mirror.
Look at the data and try to understand. My thing is try to understand why people feel that way. That's all. You may not agree, but I'll try to understand why, and I think that could at least help try to bridge the gap. But I'm sorry.
I also think it's easy to separate the people who like speak about it unintelligently versus the people who actually know what the fuck they're talking.
That part.
Like,
that's the thing,
it's
just like, and you both of you guys all of you guys are totally right. You totally read her the correct way. Like, she doesn't actually have any like political beliefs. She's just a hanger on for whatever is the current thing is, right? So, and which sucks, because like my other best friend, literally the girl that I've known since I was like fucking 4 years old, right? Like, I had to unfriend her because when I went to a wedding, her fucking fiance went at me for working at the Washington Post, and he was MAGA. So it was the complete fucking opposite problem.
That's crazy. Like, why are people acting like this?
It's fucking ridiculous.
My
So
mom,
like
my mom and dad, like, they're not together anymore, so maybe that's the reason that it's not. But my mom's like real, like, old school hippie liberal. My dad is like a Reagan Republican. They loved each other and like had a relationship and were friends since they were kids. Like, why? What is wrong with everybody? I don't understand what's wrong with everybody.
I just met this fucking guy, and like he just got drunk, got a little drunk, and he just started yelling at me at the wedding, which was fucked up because I took like way too many edibles at the wedding. So like way too like 100 milligrams, and I can do 100 milligrams now, because I'm used to it, but back then I was not used to it. So it was like I did ketamine. Like, I was frozen in, in place, like, and this like fucking like redneck just starts yelling at me about MAGA this, MAGA that, and then like my best friend, someone I've known since I was a child, we played fucking house together. We're just sitting there and just like watching me take it, like stunned, because she was fucking high as fuck too, right? And I was like, look at her. I was like, really, you're letting this happen? And then so I had to like tell her like you didn't even apologize, you didn't rein him in, like, this is embarrassing. Like, I was the best man at the wedding, and you did this. This is embarrassing. So that was our last conversation, and then she fucking died. She OD'd, So it's like there's this tragedy where it's like I had to end my longest friendship with like such a shitty fucking note, because some people like don't know how to be fucking adults in their 30s,
Yeah, I mean, that's part of growing up, right? Is like when we were like really in the throes of the console wars, right? Like Xbox, FTC shit. Like I started to recognize most of the people tweeting at me like really aggressive stuff or leaving comments were grown men.
Yeah,
like much older than me, and
they usually are way older dudes than you. They're like our age,
Yeah. And they have like children. I'm just like,
their whole identity is this.
Yeah.
So that's why, like what you said about, being a child in spirit, Matt, sometimes people just take that literally, and it just like they stay childish. You know, not even childlike is a wonderful thing to be. To have to love and have a childlike curiosity for life throughout your entire life. You know, you can be a childlike elderly person. You know, being a childish old man though, that's a different thing. You know,
I never thought of
altogether.
the nuance between those two.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well said.
Being childlike is wonderful. Being childish is annoying and pathetic. You know.
Yeah.
And that's what some of these people are. But going back to when I turned 30, though. 30 was a huge birthday for me. I probably talked about this before, but when I had my 30th birthday, I was actually looking up on Facebook. I've talked about my birthday parties before. This was one of my first Constellation parties or topics, but my 30th birthday was one of my biggest, where I had it at this karaoke club. That was like modern, and it was like karaoke, but they also had video games there. So they had Rock Band, and they had like Street Fighter 4, and fucking Titanfall was playing there too. This is like back in like 2011 or whatever, right? So like 2012. And my birthday was 2011, but the bar was there. Was Xbox One out? Yeah, right.
Xbox One was 2013.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I had this really big bar. And I even had it sponsored by Alaska Airlines, where I had a little sweepstakes at my birthday party, where like you can win a free 2-night stay at Marriott. So it was co-sponsored by Marriott and Alaska Airlines, and a free trip to certain destinations through Alaska Airlines. So that was really fun. So this is like that's like how people keep talking about like how I always lie about my birthday parties, but it's like I'm not lying at all. Like companies wanted to like hop in on my birthday parties and join in, but my 30th birthday was huge. That I because I felt so weird about turning 30, right? So I was like, I'm 30 now. I didn't even think I'd make it this far. I thought I would totally just kill myself by 27, just like the rock stars, you know. And then by the time I turned 27, I was like, I haven't rocked hard enough to kill myself yet. That's pretty much where I was, right? So I was like, well, maybe we'll wait till I'm 30. And then so 30, I decided just to throw this big party. I had a girlfriend at the time. She was the beauty pageant girl. She was Miss Waikiki. So I had a beautiful woman, beautiful life.
Doing that.
Career wise, I was kind of in the middle of my career because I was still like a really well known crime reporter, in Hawaii, but I wasn't quite where I wanted to be. I at that time I felt like I was already kind of conquering where I needed to do in Hawaiian media, So I started to feel really, really kind of anxious about my career aspects. And 2 years later, I decided to quit the paper because I felt like I wasn't learning anything more, and that's when I went into PR. And it's funny that we bring this up because one of my colleagues, Travis Lyles, he was the deputy social media editor at the Washington Post. I consider this kid my nephew. This kid, and he's 33, right? But I met him since when he was like 24. When he started at the paper, at the Washington Post. So he was like my nephew. Like he was like one of my proteges in social media, and then now he became a deputy editor, and like he started hiring all these people that I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I was like, how did you gain all this power? Like without me, this is crazy, But he started crying when he was resigning because he's just leaving the paper because the paper is going to tough times and a lot of people are kind of leaving to seek better opportunities, and he did that. But he felt like he's like 32, 33 now, and he felt like that he needed to like have a change in his career, and that's kind of where I was too. When I hit 30, I was like, I need to kind of shift and level up my career somehow. And like move, maybe I wanted to leave Hawaii. I wanted a change of pace, and the best way to do that is to find another job. So I really wanted to work at the Los Angeles Times, Orange County Register, or just move to California. I really wanted to move to California, man. I really wanted to recapture the college days, which I guess I could talk about during my topic in the 20s. But I couldn't do it at the paper that I was at the Honolulu Star-Advertiser, which was really stagnant. And just really not doing anything. So and then around that time, I asked to be the social media guy of the Star-Advertiser, and they gave that job to me. and it was a bullshit job. I barely did anything social media wise. I was doing photo galleries of whatever, and like updating the captions and stuff like that. It was really pathetic, and I was like, I'm not learning anything from this job. This is a no skill job, And a job, these skills that I'm learning will be so obsolete, but by in a few years that it would just be pointless. Why am I doing here? So that's why I went in PR, and then that's why when I talk in my tweet about how I was where my career started to peak as well, that was because I got hired at the Washington Post when I was 33.
Nice.
I got hired in 2014 for 2015, so 34, 33. And that's why I always tell people, because, I'm surrounded by, I live in DC, right? So DC is filled with some of the most ambitious young people everywhere, right? And these people are so fucking anxious about their about what they consider success in life, right? So I meet these kids who are in their 20s, they're 25, and they're like, "Oh my god, I'm 25. I haven't done anything with my life, I haven't. How am I not a White House reporter yet? I'm just like, I just want to like fucking like grab them by the face and like fucking calm down, man. Like just because you went to NYU or fucking Yale or Harvard or something like that doesn't mean that you need to keep escalating. Fucking rest and just work. You already work at the fucking Washington Post. For fuck's sake, But then they're like, oh well, why am I not covering Congress? Why am I not on the White House beat? And it's just like, these people are fucking insane. I'm surrounded by super AAA types, and like that's why I try to tell them, like, I'm 33, I just started working here. Calm down. I have achieved way more than I ever thought in my life to be here. I kind of went many steps to work at the Washington Post. I thought like, okay, maybe I'll work at the LA Times, and then I get to play at the Wall Street Journal or the Washington Post or the New York Times, which are the top three. And it's like, I just want people to calm down in their 20s, because 30s are kind of go back to how I felt in my 30s. 30s is really where I felt the most confident in myself. Kind of echoing what Cog was saying. Like I really understood who, like exactly like Cog said, I understood how I became who I am today. I understood, I was making the most money. This is again like when I was making like wearing the suits. Going to like fancier parties. I like kind of like I was like doing business networking a lot. Trying to look for different opportunities and really trying to like focus my hustle into something that could feel passionate and successful, and for me, that was like social media work, so like after, I really started to focus on that. When I went freelance, when I quit the paper, I started to get a lot of freelance gigs for social media. So like I helped like Uber start in Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
Back in like 2011, 2012. And this is when Uber didn't even have Uber X. This was when Uber was
Uber
exclusively a black car service.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep. And then they wanted to open up in Hawaii, and then they pitched me there, and they're like, oh, we got this great like project, it's called Uber, and then you can have your own luxury driver. And I was like, why the fuck would anyone pay for a more expensive taxi? But whatever, I could sell this. And then so like I helped put together like a whole debut party for them and everything like that. I was like really into event planning for some reason, which is weird for me because I'm an introvert. And then Uber didn't actually pay me. But they gave me something really good, though. They gave me free Uber for a year. Free Uber Black for a year. And then they assigned me a regular driver, Linda, this really wonderful old white woman, and she drove an Escalade. So it was really, really nice. And this is like when, like, first of all, this was right after I got arrested for drunk driving, so I had no license. So I was like, "Oh, perfect!" Like
we got you, bro.
I can do that.
I was like, life bends toward my will, no matter what happens. Like as soon as I got arrested, I lost my license. They're like, "Oh, we can give you free Uber Black for a year." I was like, "Oh, fuck it, that's awesome," And also, this was great because I was still trying to date again. I broke up with Miss Waikiki, so I was trying to go back in the dating scene, and you guys have no idea how magical it is to be in 2011 and just like bring up your iPhone fucking 5 or whatever, and then be like, oh, let me call my car real quick. And then the big ass car pulls up, and then this old white woman rolls out the window. Hey, Gene, how's it going? Just hop on in. And then all we're like, who are you? What is this? Are you some kind of wizard or something? What the fuck is this? You know, I just summon a car like I'm fucking like Final Fantasy summoning Odin. You know, there's some shit. But that tangent aside, yeah, like in my 30s, I came to DC, and this like that was when I really started kind of like tighten up. Like I really want to cut back on alcohol, you know. So that going back to the themes of what Manny was saying about really finding out who your friends are, I started to slow it out on going clubbing and drinking all the time. And when I did that, I rooted out like maybe like 90% of the people in my life, which is crazy. But I was fine with that. I was like, that's totally cool. Like, you know, I'm getting older. There's less time. I really want to focus in on people that really matter to me. Yeah. But I mean, that's generally how I felt about my 30s. I don't know if that answers your question, Maddie, about what to expect in the 30s.
The career part is a big one because, like I mentioned, I've done this whole thing for most of my life. And I think the way once you get used to doing it for so long, you're like, how do you know if you still care? And I'm like, well, okay, imagine a world where like, you know, a game comes out that you're really excited about. You know, are you okay not being able to like make your video or just saying your piece? And I was like, hell no, bro. I was like, I just always love being just a part of the conversation, just like sharing my thoughts. Like I'm lucky it's my job because it's just for me more therapeutic because it's just like a form of personal expression. You know, because I remember like growing up, you know, I played a lot of sports, and so a lot of my friends were like jocks who didn't play video games. And so most of my life was spent just like I had all these thoughts and feelings and excitement about gaming. But I didn't have anyone in my life who liked it nearly as much as me, like not even close. Like I was just the geek, even into high school. It wasn't until I discovered YouTube and really like Call of Duty videos that I thought, oh, you can like just post these things about these games. Like this is cool. And it just felt like I was getting a part of me out there, even though I was just putting like Brankin Benjamin in the background of these like fucking Call of Duty glitch spot videos, you know, that was still like awesome to me. The fact that it's evolved, you know, again, sticking with Call of Duty, they call it like gameplay commentary. And so like, you know, talk about like your 27 kill streak and what you used then, like what your loadout was and like how you were strategizing as you were playing. And I fell in love with that. But then it just kept evolving. It was like, oh, you get to talk about news. You get to talk about the new things you like, the old things you like. And I just realized that's just, I've never, that there's certain things in your life that are just tireless. Like I will never get tired of that feeling of knowing there are people out there who are as jazzed as I am about games and like want to sort of share in that excitement, in that magic, in that energy, or just that tough conversation, whatever the subject matter may be. So it's like I don't see a world where I ever put down the microphone. It's just too important. Like it's not even money. It's just like it's too important to me. Like there will always be, even if I'm here once a week, it's like there's I just will, I think, always and forever have the mic in my hand. But where I think the whole leveling up thing kicked in, I mean, it kicked in pretty early, as I've talked about numerous times. But I think really the whole game development thing, like I will admit, because I'm not like comfortable with YouTube. I think like that's the devil in this business. Like when you get comfortable, you just make really, like I've been in that spot, like you make really shitty decisions. And so I always try to stay on edge, but I will say that like I kind of know who I am to others and what I want to do. And I have ambitions on how I want to grow it. Like I do have one additional idea that it's manageable, might I add, that I can try to shoot for when I'm like reorienting my life. But game development has sort of opened my eyes of just how good it feels to like learn that skill. And obviously it's connected to gaming, so it makes sense why I just like get that fire in me. But so much of what I've done my entire life has been, you know, what can I produce in a month max? To spend years on one thing and just watch it start like as a single cell and grow into this thing is really satisfying. Like I find it immensely satisfying because now, even though we're not done yet, like I'm already thinking about like, okay, game 2, like what have I learned thus far that I can, we can be smarter. We can get ahead of that curve a lot quicker. Like what have I learned? What have we as a collective learned? And like, how can we do this better next time? And it's like, it's hard work, of course, but it's fucking addicting. Like it really gets my brain going. And I think that's kind of where my leveling up lies in my 30s is like, can I actually make this work? And can I do something that I can only think of Colin who does it, where it's like, can I run my own platform at the same time as helping manage a game development company and kind of doing that side of the business?
Yeah. And I don't do anything with Lilymo, basically. That's what I always try to remind people is like Lilymo, I activate when things need to be written or created or we need an idea like that.
It's still a big part of the process now.
Yeah. And marketing and like selling the game at the back end. Yeah. But like, I just like to be clear about that because Barry really is I don't even know if he sleeps, to be honest. That's why I don't take money from the company. A lot of that's like, we need me to not take money from the company, but it's also because like we need to make the next games, but it's also like, for what? Like, like that's kind of how I feel. Like, what am I, for what purpose am I taking money from this company right now? So that's the other thing. It's just like kind of a little bit of an honor thing. I guess if I was broke or something, I would pillage Lilymo, but that's not the case.
I'm in a similar spot with our team where I have, we like laid out the pay sheets of sort of, if we got a budget, like, where everyone would lie. And like, I'm definitely, I think I'm like the lowest on the ladder because I'm just like more in the mindset of, even though I'm involved in like writing and designing and lighting and that sort of stuff, I feel like I'm learning that when you start building a company like this, it's like, you just gotta like, there's gotta be like fall guys or gals or whatever. Like my wife works on the game, but right now she's working for free because like, I don't have the money to pay her. She also lives with me. So like just by nature, she's kind of taken care of, but that's like a huge sacrifice. And I appreciate that. But I've just kind of realized in that slow nurturing of getting the company off the ground, like it takes those sorts of cuts if you want to reach the heights that you're shooting for. And so I'm like, that's the thing that's most exciting about my 30s is I've done something in my life for so long and I've grown in that. Like I think become a better talker, a better reviewer, and better presenting the information and handling the conversation. But I feel like the ceiling and me are getting close before I have to find another breakthrough. And I feel like through game development and like evolving that conversational style I'm known for to like, there's like, is there a world where I'm like 35 and kind of pulling from my own work and being like, here's an example of this that we experienced and kind of connecting it to like modern gaming news and creating that context for people. I watch a lot of game devs already doing that on YouTube. And I think it's the best kind of gaming content you can consume because it's just like pure information that I fucking eat up. And I think that's what a lot of what I've learned, and this is not me putting myself on a pedestal. What I've learned is a lot of the games community though that make content have no fucking clue what they're talking about. I don't even mean it from like a fanboy perspective. I just mean like once you get in the weeds, it's like it's a skill you wish more people could somehow be brought into because they would just see and understand like how these choices are made and how even some of the best decisions in the game kind of come from like dramatic sacrifices, not even personally, but like they cut a big portion of the game that ends up being the right amount of fat that brings all the attention to the best parts of the game. And like those choices that come along the way, like these projects are so malleable and they're so shapeless and they only gain form like very late. And so, I find my like fire really burning with that and seeing what that becomes with combining YouTube and game development and sort of bringing those worlds together and celebrating those launches with our respective communities and stuff. Like I dream about it all the time. I'm like, I can't wait to see what that's all going to be like. And obviously thinking about the highs and lows of it, it's like, there's a world where like, heaven forbid something goes south with a game. It's like, that I have to be able to weather that storm too. So it's not all just like the positives, but to kind of what Gene was saying about career and stuff. Yeah, that's talking about leveling up. I think that's where my head's at. It's like, okay, like I want to keep growing YouTube. I feel like I got something special with Retro Rebound and what I do on Mr. Matty. Like now you like bring kind of an air of legitimacy. You're not just a guy with a microphone. It's like, no, I did this shit with a team, and you kind of bring it as sort of backup to what you're talking about. Because I think that's something that we're really missing is like, especially social media and YouTube and TikTok and Reels. Like it's just like everyone has a voice, which is fantastic. Like I think it's really good because anyone can reach for the stars and get there. But it also means a lot of fucking idiots, dude, and a lot of bad information. And so I just, I think continuously fortifying what I do feels like the best insurance I can provide myself in a job that has like zero insurance, So yeah, that's all I've got on the 30s personally. I appreciate you guys chiming in.
No, it's good. It's a good topic. And by the way, man, you really said something. It's total defraying of what you said, but I'm going in a different direction. But something you said just really is resonating with me recently, which is how little people have curiosity about how games are made or how the industry works and how the numbers crunch and how I'm surprised by this in our space, and co-owning Lilymo and actually putting games out and understanding them better has given me like so much even more insight into how little I understood actually about making games just from a mechanical point of view about like what is necessary to get them out onto the market. But I did spend a lot of times at studios and publishers and got to know that world pretty well. But it's not that people don't understand these different things. It's not even their lack of curiosity, because I have a lack of curiosity about a lot of things too. So it's not like I'm curious about every little thing, although I'm curious about really strange shit, no doubt. Yeah. And business
game development kind of ruined me, where I've just become curious about everything now.
Yeah.
Anything I watch now, I'm like, how do you do that?
Right. Like I'm fascinated particularly by business.
Me too.
Like in any business I interact with, I just like, when I was like walking through Home Depot the other day, like getting a few things, and I was like, it's incredible. Like the amount of like resources here is incredible. Like the semantics of doing this is nuts. What is the air conditioning bill in this building? Like that's the kind of thing like I'm thinking of. So
I do think that too.
So like, but I understand that most people don't think about that. But in the games industry, there does seem to be like a really strange lack of interest in most corners about how anything works. And I've actually realized this recently and have been tweeting about it and talking about it on the show, is like, I'm so fascinated by this Steam integration on Xbox, because I'm like, it seems suicidal to me. And like, it's not that, so there are like people that are not curious about it, cool, whatever. But like, just the insults about being curious about how it works is so weird to me. It's like, you're not curious how this works. Like, how is this going to work? And people will say like, you're pocket watching and stuff. And I'm like, so like when you watch CNBC and they talk about stock, are they, and how companies work and how they function, are they pocket watching? It doesn't even make any sense. Like what you're saying, why isn't anyone curious about the intricacies of these different things? It bothers me. It really bothers me.
Part of me blames the games industry because they hide their numbers so often, right? Like it is such a trained beast, and many games journalists play by those rules too. Like it's like more of a working relationship than any other form of journalism. It's really like, I know a lot of people were always like, it's not real journalism, bro. And like, like it's kind of like the mouth breather take, but like it really isn't real journalism.
No,
it's like more of a partnership. Like it's pretty insane.
No, it's not. I mean, that's why I always took pride in, most of what I did was not games journalism. There was a whole lane of criticism, which is not journalism. And then there's like the things I would write. Like we would literally get PlayStation blog would update, or you get a fucking press release and you write it. Right. But like the things but I did feel like I contributed a lot of real journalism. But the reality was it wasn't profitable. IGN was cool and they let me do a lot of that stuff and just disappear for weeks at a time, basically, but it wasn't paying the bills. They just thought it was what they would call prestige pieces, like things that you would want to be associated with.
Yeah, it creates value for the brand.
Right. Like, like the history of Naughty Dog probably cost IGN, it cost me a month of my life probably, and them many thousands of dollars, me going all over the place and talking to these people and transcribing things and everything, and they didn't make any money on it. But it's like something that people still cite today. And so at least I give them credit, Pear and those guys, like credit for having the vision and letting me follow up on those things. And, but I'm not even saying people need to do that stuff. I'm just, what you said resonated with me, especially in that recent example of this really cool device that sounds like it's going to come out with like all these integrations, but like how, like, but everyone's like, cool. And then like, period. And I'm like, cool. I'm like, cool, comma. But what does that mean? Right. And like, everyone gets upset about that. I'm like, so you could just buy all of your Xbox games on Steam now and then import them all to the machine. And I'm like, that's dangerous. It's dangerous. But so I'm not, it just resonated with me because I was like, I've been really thinking about that lately and really upset, not upset, but just I'm bummed because I want to have these kinds of conversations, and they all end in like insults and
It devolves into something
dismissiveness and
else.
stuff. And it's like, it's fun to be pointed and a little sarcastic but I don't know. It's just, I just feel like I'm kind of talking to a wall sometimes, and it's a bummer, because anyway, go ahead.
I want to jump in because this is funny, bro, that it actually came up recently with a friend of mine asking me about that. And I was like, look, I've known Colin a long time. He has a genuine interest for the intricacies of how this stuff works. The problem, I feel, is that there are some individuals who weaponize your curiosity to now attack another side based on their genuine love for something as a consumer.
Oh, so you're saying that people like weaponize my good ideas?
That's what I'm trying. So that's what happens. So what happens is the people who have weaponized it now, you know what I'm saying, attack this group, and then this group sees your general curiosity, and now it's like enemy number one. We hate him. That's what I feel is part of this. And I agree with you. I think that I do have a general curiosity of how that works, right? From a storefront standpoint, this is uncharted territory. We've never really seen this.
Yeah, it's never happened before. Never.
Yeah, how does the business of this works? That is a genuine, legit question.
And I hate, what I hate the most, Cog, is when people, the most thing I hate is, I understand being like, I don't care, right? But the idea of who cares, I'm like, what do you think? This is an altruistic exercise? Who cares? You think they're doing this for fun?
That's fair. That's
what are you talking about?
I express this a lot in Punching Up, whereas I personally don't really care too much about like the numbers.
Oh no, we were talking about you today on or on Sacred Symbols this week about what you said. Yeah.
I don't care, but like Colin needs to do it for Sacred Symbols.
Well, I think it both speaks to my weird autism, but also like numbers and stuff. Like, it's not autism. I don't know. We always say that. I don't know that I'm really autistic, but like I'm always I love standings and statistics and batting averages and fucking goals against averages. And like, I just love that kind of shit. So it's what I'm saying. Like, you don't care, but you understand why it matters.
No,
right?
Of course
like,
it
those
matters.
are two
You gotta
different
do it.
things. Those are two different things. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the dismissiveness of saying like, doesn't matter. It's a great deal. I'm like, what?
Oh, of course it matters.
Like, what are you like? How do you operate in the real world? If you believe that, that's crazy. That doesn't even make any sense that people think that. That's what I'm saying. So, but I understand the whole like nihilism about like, it doesn't matter and I don't care and like run it into the ground. And there are many industries I feel that way about. Like, I could care less if the television industry exists. Like, I'll like, I could care less. It doesn't matter to me. So I get it. But it's just funny that you brought that up, and I had a pull on that because that's something I want to explore. And
what are the readers try to
something?
What are the readers try to pit you against me or something? Is that what's going on?
No. Someone had said. So I don't even know where I saw it. No one was trying to pit you against it. And then I think I said on the show, like, Gene just doesn't appreciate my autism. Like, and a lot of people don't. And I get that.
Someone tried to do that to you with us on Duke. There was like a lot of people who were writing in on like our server and on our Patreon thread. And they're like, how do you feel about Colin saying he's going to shut down Defining Duke soon? I was like, I'm pretty sure I'd have a fucking conversation first of all.
That didn't happen though. What is that?
It's also like, I know that Colin didn't do this, so I go
I
go and look, and it's like in the Q&A, and Colin's like, yeah, like they've turned into more of a multi-platform podcast. Like, short term, this is fine. Like, we've already talked, and we have like long term. We'll see what happens to Xbox, and then we'll react then, right?
Yeah. Like, in fact,
I was like, how do people take? It's like the bad faith translations. Like, they took that away and went from Colin to who's a good friend and someone I work with, and comes to me is like trying to tattletale at him. And be like, yo, he's going to fire you, bro. I'm like, okay, let's take a look. And it wasn't even anything close. Or it's like the protectionism of like a product, which we all know very well. It's the only drawback of us hosting respective console shows and not just like a gaming show is you bring in that audience that like, like there's Xbox fans that'll attack Sacred, but definitely like given that we've built such a, or Colin and Dustin and Chris have built such a big PlayStation podcast that like the Dukes will get hit hard by PlayStation fans a lot of the time. And so you had these moments like it bleeds into other content. Like I noticed when I posted, I have like a really great community on Retro Rebound, like almost zero issues. But strangely, I make my Death Stranding video, and like I look the dislike ratio 97.2, which I consider very good. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
Nice and happy there. Go to the comment section. There's people who are like, "Oh, you only play it because it's on Xbox." Like, you know, you like, "Oh, you're hyping up now. Dude. You're trying to join the hype train." Like this weird shit. And I'm just like, this is part of the problem too. Is the curiosity isn't there because the assumptions are so broadly made all the time, or misrepresented easily.
Yeah, assumption. You're right about the assumption thing. Is like, it's funny. Like, if you could tell who listens to Sacred Symbols and who doesn't, and most people don't. Right, like most people interacting with me don't listen to it. It's not that big. Like I always say, it's like an between video and audio and Patreon. It's like a football stadium a week of people listening to it. Right, it's a small thing when you think about it. But like, it's so funny. Like when people they assume where you're coming from, right? And they try to insult you on those things. And it's like, dude, you ever listen to Sacred Symbols? Like, yeah. I've been saying Sony should be putting all of their games on PC. I've been saying Sony should be putting their games on Switch. I've been saying Sony should be putting their games on Switch too. We talked about Helldivers on Xbox. It's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, that doesn't hurt. It's not, you're not hurting me. Like, I'm more open-minded to these things than most of the fan base. Mm-hmm. So then it just becomes like you're arguing against like a mirage or like a persona of someone that like some straw man. It's a bummer because it's fun to be a little snarky. It's fun to be a little pointed. It's fun to do all those things, but like you can't just be that. And that's where I think a lot of this stuff gets lost in translation. And it's too bad.
Just a side note here for you, Colin, because someone just sent it to me. The Canadians are acquiring Noah Dobson.
Really?
Sign and trade with the Islanders. He's getting 8-year extension, $9.5 million AAV as part of the trade.
Wow, what did we get?
It doesn't say.
Where did the Canadians pick? Because there was a word. The word was that Dobson was going to. We were going to do a sign and trade to try to get up the pick to get back up and get that kid from Long Island. That like you know what I'm talking. What's his name? Darsh or something like that.
Okay, this is from Sportsnet.
Yeah.
Montreal gets Noah Dobson. It says Islanders receive Emil Heineman, 2025 number 16 draft pick, 2025 number 17 draft pick.
Yeah, so maybe they're using those to trade up because I don't know if you've been following it. Like the Islanders are going to pick first, and they're going to obviously pick that defenseman, that really high quality. I can't even think of his name. And then they want to. There's a kid from Long Island that's like in the top 5 that is like basically like being really obvious that he wants to play for the Islanders. In fact, there's some suggestion that he's hurting his own draft stock by being so blatant about it. And so maybe they can package those picks and trade up, and I bet you that's what it's for. Dobson we can't afford to keep Dobson. How much did he get? $9.5 million? Is that what you said?
9.5. Yeah.
That's slower than I heard he was asking for 11.
Oh,
so that's better.
I guess the cap's going up, right? So
yeah, I think the Islanders are the most cap constrained right now, though. So anyway, cool. And Gene's about to fall asleep.
I'm watching my Rangers collapse in real time.
It was funny to see Colin's face. Like, I've never seen Colin's face be more serious than like, what are you doing? I was like, I've never seen Colin like locking like that.
There's nothing that locks people in more than hearing your team has made a big trade.
Yes.
I was like, oh, I'm seeing like a real live like, because like live Colin reactions are rare because like, like we don't stream and everything like that. So like seeing Colin like react to news that way was like interesting.
It sucks. I mean, I really like Noah Dobson. He's awesome. But we just can't it's better to we're about to draft a defenseman in the first round, or in the first pick with the first pick, so that will play immediately. So anyway, all right, so Gene, let's go to you next. You had 2 different topics. We can I don't know which one you wanted to do. You had brought up the Ocean Gate submarine documentary, which I only saw pieces of, but I'm happy to talk about the Ocean Gate things. I think it's funny. And then it's sad, obviously, for the people on board, but it's that is human hubris that it's. Come on, man. It's like when you fly that close to the sun, you got to assume bad things are going to happen. But your other topic was that you wanted to do something. You said maybe we can even talk about our 20s. So I'll let you take it in any direction you wanted to. I almost wonder if the 20s thing might be a little redundant. I could talk about my 20s real quick. I mean, like, in comparison to my 30s, my 20s were just like,
They're just like so random, just like whatever. Also, real quick, I wanted to bring up, this is what I was looking up, like, in terms of like leveling up in your 30s, to close that one out, Manny talks about being a content creator and trying to level up his game as a 30-year-old, right? And it's like, it does feel like I've noticed that a lot of YouTube content creators, a lot of them are much younger than me, but they've been hitting 30. Like, for example, PewDiePie, he's 35. But about 5 years ago, he basically changed up his entire content strategy from, going from meme review and PewDiePie to, just being in Japan and having like a daily life vlog of being a dad and just
I've noticed that. Yeah, he has completely switched gears.
Like learning how to fucking paint and, being like
being
Bob Rossian almost, in terms
He's like, fuck it, I got money. Let's go for it.
Yeah. He's got fuck you money. He never has to do anything ever. He never has to act like a clown ever again, right? So like now he's just actually just being a regular person, which is incredible. And that's interesting to see him do that. But, like his career as in his 20s was kind of interesting, where he would say offensive shit all the time, but also like try all kinds of shit, where he was a horror streamer, and he started to do current news commentating, which ended up becoming influential, and now everyone fucking does that now, but in your 20s you just kind of try anything, you just do anything, and I'm wondering if that was like it for you guys. I also want to talk about the Ocean Gate submarine though, but I didn't want to like force you guys to watch the documentary, but the documentary is like really, really fucking funny though, man. It's like one thing I'll say about this, sorry if this is like so like tangent and rambly, but like I can't fucking stop thinking about the fucking Ocean Gate submarine documentaries, because it's like I've never seen anyone, I don't think there's anyone who's ever been recorded in human history been recorded so much saying, "Oh, don't worry about it, it's fine, I'm not gonna die."
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
Yeah, that's hubris. Crazy. That's what I'm saying.
That's the CEO, Stockton Rush. Like, you have to laugh at him because like he is the guy. Okay, fuck the 20s then. Never mind. Let's fucking talk about the Ocean Gate submarine. That can be the thumbnail too of all of us in the fucking Ocean Gate submarine.
I will say, Gene, real quick, I saw the one clip I did see. I don't know because there's two different documentaries, but I think it was from the Netflix documentary of like footage from inside of it. Yeah, when it was starting to crack and creak, and I was like, "Oh my god, dude!" Like, first of all, how did they get that? Like, I don't even understand how that was. I guess it was beaming up to something.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just people who are on tour and they're fucking filming on their iPhones, and they're like, "Oh, we hear that." It sounds like fucking popcorn, man. Like, it sounds like you're cooking in that fucking thing, where you're like you're going down in this. So the whole thing is, you should laugh at this guy, Stockton Rush, for him saying it's fine. I'm not gonna die. No one's gonna die. It's totally good. It's totally cool, right? Because he is the guy who designed the submarine. Because he comes from, so Stockton Rush comes from money. He came from a billionaire family in California of adventurers. Let me look up his wealthy family, youngest of 5 children to Richard Stockton Rush Jr. His maternal grandmother was a philanthropist and the namesake of San Francisco's Louise M. Davies Symphony Hall. So he's like one of those fucking people or whatever, and he grew up wanting to be the first person on Mars, and then he really wanted to be an aerospace engineer, and he kind of gave up on that for some reason, and he decided, what would work is aerospace materials in a submarine. The same shit that holds an airplane together. He thought that would work under 4,000 meters under the ocean, when you got the entire ocean bearing down on a product. And he thought the product would be titanium and steel. There was this fucking submarine that launched before man landed on the moon, and that submarine was the first submarine to actually make it to the Titanic. And you know what? That submarine's still working today. Never broke. Never popped.
Interesting.
It just works. You can go on that submarine right now and go down to the Titanic. It still works just fine after 60 fucking years. But this guy's fucking submarine could not make it past like 70 trips or whatever. It couldn't make it past 50 trips. So there was actually 2 submarines. The first submarine, the one that you heard popping, they eventually decided to actually look at the hull and realize that there was a huge crack and that thing was about to fucking explode. So they're like, oh, well, we can't take this thing down anymore. So he's all right, we'll just make another one. So he just made the same thing, made it a little bit thicker, and didn't even test it the same way he tested the first thing, where they would like dip it in like this pressurized container and like trying to make it pop, and it fucking popped all the fucking time. That's an insane thing, like that's the crazy thing, is that this thing was popping all the time, and he was like, it's fine, we'll just make it this way. It was it's crazy to witness this fucking documentary and see this thing break. And then this guy is saying, like he's insane. Like his coworkers call him a psychopath. And it's like, that's correct. Like, it's insane to watch something break and be like, all right, that's fine. That makes sense.
That makes sense.
He just made it. He just kept making it again. And then everyone kept saying, like Stockton, why don't you test it without people? And it's like, it's fine. Like, we need people in there. So like I guess he was charging me.
Like, what am I missing here? Was he suicidal? Am I like missing something here? Like, that's so here's the interesting thing, that the documentaries say that he worshipped Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. He was almost envious of them, and then his coworkers would say he would walk around the office all day and talk about how Elon and Jeff Bezos had big dick energy. Look at their big dicks. I want to swing my big dick around like they do. Got it.
He was absolutely obsessed with becoming like Elon Musk, which is so funny because Elon is smart enough to not go into his rockets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
he wants to go eventually, but not yet. I love exploration. I think it's fascinating. Like I was just reading about last night about Francis Drake's circumnavigation of the globe, which took 3 years or whatever, and like all the crazy shit that happened. And it's just, and like, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know where they're going. They don't know what they're going to run into. It's amazing that the things that people do. I don't want to dismiss the idea of someone being like, I'm going to fucking go and like make a submarine and go to the Titanic and like go to the deepest parts of the ocean, the depths or whatever. I think that's fucking dope that people do that. And I think it's dope that people are willing to die doing it. Which is why I think the space program is actually, if I'm being honest, too precious with human life. And this is something that the astronauts themselves think. Particularly Buzz Aldrin has the idea of what's called Mars to stay, where it's like there are literally thousands of people that would be willing to just go and like, we'll figure out how to get you back later. We don't know what we're going to do and stuff. So I like that there are adventurers. Am I one of those people? Not really. But I think it's awesome that people are willing to do it. So I just want to be clear that like, it's cool what he's trying to do. It's the hubris and like the idea that, like you have the skills and you know what you're doing and you'll put other people's lives in danger and you'll like it's not, it's funny. Francis Drake, again, just because I was reading about this is the only reason it's top of mind, is he lied to the crew about what they were doing. To get them to go. He's like, we're going to Morocco or some shit like that. And then they were like, nope, burp, and like started going across the ocean, and they had to all buy in because there was just no choice. And like, there's a level of deception even to that level of exploration, as opposed to Columbus and those guys kind of being crazy and willing to go and like see what happens. But the idea that like you would make this thing yourself, that you would use a Logitech controller to control, it's like, you don't even, I'm not even being sarcastic when I say this. Like, you wouldn't even use like an Xbox controller or something like like you would use like a fucking third party $20 controller. It's crazy.
In the documentary, the Logitech controller was the second submarine, the one that actually exploded. In the documentary, the first version of the submarine, which is the same thing, but the one that they found that fucking cracked and they took it out of commission, that was the one that was run by the PS2 DualShock. PS2 DualShock, not PS3. Yeah. It was a PS2 controller, but it had the analog buttons though. So it was working with that.
You would just think that you would take it so seriously. That's the thing, is you got to take it serious. And so I agree with you. I don't know the full story. I don't have Netflix right now. I have to get it at some point. I circulate through my subscription services, but
Oh, Squid Games is out today, so there you go.
Yeah, and I haven't even watched the second season of Squid Games, so it's like they're making
more. What are they doing with it? Wait, what's
this is the last season, so you can watch both seasons now and just finish the story right now.
Finally,
I was gonna say at least they're treating that show like TV used to be treated, with like some urgency, where it's
not
like
the fucking Last of Us that's gonna take 3 years just to find out what we know from Last of Us Part 2.
Very anticlimactic. All this stuff is. Because I just lose interest. I'm like, the show has been on for fucking 10 years by this point, but there's only like 40 episodes. It's like, what are we doing here? So yeah, I just, and space exploration is like, I'm obsessed with space exploration. And I love that we're trying to do the most dangerous, the craziest, the most outrageous shit. I just think, like it's what you're saying about this Rush guy, where you get what you get what's coming to you at some point. And the only sad thing about it is that you took innocent people with you. But the crazy thing to me, Gene, and I wonder if they get into this at all, and you can tell me, is I'm surprised because the contracts leaked pretty quickly, and it's pretty clear what they say, which is like, you could die, and it's not our problem. I'm surprised that like these people went. There's no way I would have went in that thing. Like, I don't give a fuck what you say. Like, there's just no way I would have. So we're gonna go like 5 miles under the water in this thing you built. It's not like the military or like a NASA experiment or whatever. It's like, I don't think so. That doesn't sound right to me. But these guys have no common sense, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, they actually do get into this. Well, they also talk about Stockton's personality and his charisma, and how he would always he was like a car salesman, and which is not a good vibe to have for a submarine inventor guy who says, "Get in my fucking submarine, like it's fine, it'll be fine." But he was like very convincing, and he was so like pushy. So you hear these secret recordings of him in the meetings where the director of engineering was like, I can't let anyone in good conscience get in this vessel. This is gonna pop. This is bad. We haven't done the safety checks. Right. And then he was like, I don't understand where this is coming from. Like that's where the meaning is, right? And then the this poor guy who's very like Scottish, he was like, are you telling me that I can't work here anymore? And then Stockton is like, well, I don't see there's any other choice. He just ignores like everything he says, and then he looks to the HR lady and he says, "You're going to be the face of the company now. You're going to be the director of engineering. You're going to be the pilot. It's going to be great. We're going to have a woman who's going to be the face of the company." So this is like where like DEI like shit like that's like where like DEI policies like fail. Like that's like the worst of like the DEI policy, where it's like this woman, and then she in the Netflix documentary, she's like, "What are you talking about? I do HR. Like I'm an accountant." Like I don't pilot submarines, And then so she quit right afterwards too, because she was like, "I'm not fucking piloting a submarine. I'm not a fucking submarine pilot."
That's crazy, man.
But he was like, "No, we need a woman. We need a woman to be the face of the company. No one wants an old white guy, So it's like that's what he was saying, which is crazy.
Does this seem like a lucrative idea to be
it's
like
recorded? Yeah,
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah, there's so many fucking recordings of this guy. But like back to your original point, Colin, about like who would get in this, like he would get a lot of people who were just like adventurous. So like one of the people who died was the guy who's been to the Titanic the most. He's done 36 dives to the Titanic. So Stockton, the CEO, brought him along to bring an air of legitimacy to the project. He was like, if this guy believes in my product, then he's been to the Titanic more than anyone else in the world. And it turns out James Cameron is actually number 2 in that record. So now that he's dead, James Cameron is now the only the person in the world who's been to the Titanic more times. Wow. James Cameron has done 33 dives, and the guy who died at 36, he was about to do 37. But he just popped.
Yeah, it's fitting to like, not even again sarcastically, fitting to die when you and be laid to rest where the Titanic is.
That's where he was. Like, so James Cameron, like he was like, I knew him. He was an old friend. Like, of course they know each other, right? Another funny thing is that James Cameron, being one of the most influential and successful filmmakers of all time, has been his side gig. That his main passion is submarining and going to the Titanic. So of course he knew this other expert, and he was like, I'm forgetting his name, and I kind of don't want to look it up, but he was like, he's not an engineer. He didn't care about what submarine he was in. He just wanted to see the Titanic. He was not actually an expert of anything other than seeing the Titanic. You know. So that's where it kind of fell apart. Where it's like this guy had no science background. He was just an old white dude who's been to the Titanic a lot of times, and he just happened to walk into the submarine that was not good.
Wow.
And then there's this other guy in the HBO Discovery documentary. There's this friend of Stockton who's kind of defensive of Stockton. Actually, that's really interesting. That the Netflix one is like a lot more damning of Stockton, but the Discovery one tries to be a little bit more objective and like tries to talk to some folks that kind of believed in his vision. And he was like. And he was kind of like talking about what you were talking about, Colin. He was like, I'm an adventurer. You know, I know the risks. So if I die, that's like I die doing what I love.
Yeah, go eyes wide open. That's cool with me. You know?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how blatant the contract was about it. Like, obviously it's going to be in there, but it just seemed, I don't know. It's so interesting, and people just throw their lives away.
Yeah, but the Discovery Channel one also has a documented testimony from their own host of Destinations Unknown, who's going to do a whole package on the submarine, and they actually aired footage that they never aired before, because the submarine, when they tried to go into the submarine, and the guy was like, so he's like, so we're just being screwed in tight into the submarine. There's no hatch out or in, and they were like, nope. And then Stockton Rush looks at him. He's like, "You're my prisoner." And then the host is like, "Okay," you know. And then like you see the camera footage. So like that's how they get footage. It's like people are just filming inside the submarine, right? And then so you see the camera footage of like the fucking submarine closing in, and then they're just like drilling it inside. It's like it's like they're fucking sealing you in a fucking tomb. It's insane. It's crazy. How the fuck does anyone go in there? And then there's no women. There's no like black people, like just the smartest people on earth are just like, nah, I'm not touching that. You know, it's all dudes. It's just sausage fest in that fucking tomb. It's insane. No bitches. It's crazy. You know.
They had like the privacy curtain and the toilet.
There's a privacy curtain for the toilet, and he says this is the best scene in the house. You know, everyone loves it here. And there's like a there's like a musical jingle that covers like when you're shitting, like fucking shitting in the submarine. Can you imagine that, dude?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like,
oh my god, dude!
How
like
does that work?
But it's like it's so anxiety inducing, just like watching the like. So like you see the Destination Unknown footage and the closing in, and then like the submarine just doesn't work. It's like the thrusters aren't working, the software isn't working, and then they're just like underwater, like in like just below the surface, and they're like, I can't do anything. And then there's like a diver outside, and they're like, the only way they can communicate, because their fucking radio wasn't even working, the only way they could communicate was writing shit on paper and then showing it to the diver outside. And the diver had to like write shit on like a fucking board and like write it back to them. And then that's when they decided, okay, we can't do this today. We got to go. And then the host was like, he's coming in with us to the Titanic, right? He's like, and he's like, yeah. And the host is like, yeah. And then like, this was the second submarine. This is the one that he remade. And then the host asked like, how many times have you tested this before? And the Stockton Rush is honest. He's like, I haven't tested this yet. He's like, we haven't done it yet.
What are we doing?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then the host is like, what are we, like, we can't run this. This is crazy. Like, this is gonna be too promotional. Which is funny because it's like, if you ran what you actually showed, maybe people wouldn't have gotten on board, you know? And then the Netflix one also interviews David Pogue, the CBS News correspondent, who actually went underneath and kind of hyped the shit up, actually, you know? And like, you don't really see any introspection from him where he's like, oh man, I think I actually fucked up. Like maybe I promoted. He was like, no, it was a good story though. It was a good story. That's how fucking brain dead some journalists are, man. Like they just lose all semblance of like humanity. Yeah. Because it's like, oh, it's a story though. Whenever, you know, who fucking cares if 5 people fucking imploded, you know? Yeah. Like it's like some of these like people who work in broadcast news are just insane people. And like, that's what it shows too. It's like, yeah, you and Stockton should have went on a fucking boat together, just you two, you know. But I don't know. I don't know if you do. You guys remember the Ocean Gate controversy? Like,
I remember listening to you. Yeah. I just had a couple questions because obviously you watch. I haven't had a chance to watch it. It's very fascinating to me. I guess my question: what was the intended time of exploration? What was, in a perfect world, if it went well, what was the length of time that they were supposed to resurface? And did they kind of explain that? Like if it was everything
like
was
several hours, bro. Like you were going to be down there for like 17 hours or some shit, man.
Wow.
Like, can you imagine being in that thing for like almost a whole day?
That's crazy.
Or longer.
Yeah. I just, for me, as a person, there was this show that Dagan would probably remember. I think it was called like 5 Faces of Death or something. It would show all these horrific ways people die. It was like a back in the day. It's almost, you used to get them on videotape. They were hard to get. They were it was almost snuff films. But from my era, it was this documentary on all these terrible ways you could die or people have died that were either caught on film or whatever. So I'm just referencing it because I'm like, that has to be one of the most awful ways to die. Like that amount of pressure, you're torn apart. Like, and then how quickly, right? So maybe on one sense it's like, let's say painless, but it's like it's so quick you don't have a concept of the pain. I'm just curious about that death. You know what I mean? That form of death underneath with that level of pressure. And then also, like you said, being Matty, we definitely, I think we share our claustrophobic fears of being locked into something, right? So the idea of being locked into something, you can't communicate with the outside world. Your impending doom, you see things now start to compress, fall apart. Like that had to be horrific in your final moment, right? Like at least the realization that this is a failure. We are going to die. We cannot communicate. And there seems to be no plan to, raise it up or, I mean, there's nothing you can do. That's like, just the impending doom is horrific to me.
That's what the Destination Unknown host asked. He was like, what is the time between diving in and then getting up and then being back on the platform and then getting out of the submarine? What is it? What is the fastest time that you've done? And Stockton was like, I don't know.
Bro,
we've never tested that before.
That's what I'm saying. And then why the refusal? My last question is, it's just like, why the refusal for any safety protocols with non-divers? Like, why can't we?
It's cheaper. It's cheaper. That's why. Because if you want to make a titanium sub, you need a way bigger boat to be able to lift that thing out.
Right.
The materials will be heavier. The fuel to operate it would be more expensive, and the boat and crew that you need to man such a thing would be way more expensive. And also, it would take several years of testing. They need to send it down, and it needs to be pressurized under that pressure like thousands of times. Which Stockton didn't do at all. Period. Which is insane. But it's just.
Yeah, just to me is the ultimate. Look, I'm with Colin in the sense that there. I love the fact that there are people in the world that exist that have the adventurous and the new frontier spirit, right? Because a lot of inventions, to be honest, right? People lost their life so we can fly. I get that, but there's also that hubris and to not test. And then also, let's be honest, when you're telling me that his kind of background, I just feel clout chasing all over this. I want to be the first. I want to say this without doing the necessary work and really protecting people. And that's the part that's.
You want to be the first guy on Mars, and you realize that that's going to be impossible. And so that's already kind of a suicide, kind of like what Colin said. That's kind of a suicidal run to be the first person on Mars. You're probably not fucking coming back, right? So he was obviously already in that mindset. So then, there's so much footage of this fucking guy, but he was talking about everything I want to see in space is actually underneath the ocean, which makes sense. He sounds very passionate about that too. So it's like you kind of want to buy into his vision too.
Yeah.
But he just and then you see all these 3D models of how they died, and it just caves in. You just become
it's oblivion. I mean,
Jesus.
Within the blink of an eye, it's just oblivion.
Jesus.
But also they found the wreckage, right? Just 4 days after they went missing, and they brought up all the wreckage, and you can see that, people are like, "Oh, where's the bodies?" There's no fucking bodies. You know where the body is? You can see the blood and guts embedded into the walls of this thing. They're just like, psh, and it's just like part of it. But then his patch, his little Titanic patch, it survived. It was still down there, so they dug it out. He had a little Titanic pin, and that was still good too.
Wow.
That was the only thing left of these people.
That was my question. Yeah, that was my question. Yeah.
It's interesting because I don't know. it's a horrible way to go, and yet like it is instantaneous. Like you won't even have an opportunity to comprehend it when it's happening to you.
But then to hear those pops though, like to kind of like hear the ticking of your death, like slowly.
Yeah,
so like that's another thing. Like part of the footage of the pops was that it was Stockton himself, like filming himself, and then you hear him saying, you hear these pops like, tuk, 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 and he's like, oh, that'll get your attention. Those are some attention getting pops, and that's how he will like undersell it, you know. And he would go back up, and he was like, you know what? You hear. This fucking documentary is kind of a comedy because he's like, you hear pops all the time in submarines, and the next guy is a submarine experience, and you're not supposed to hear any pops at all.
It's just a hard cut.
Yeah, it's like the
way you described that, I thought of like The Office for some reason. Like,
exactly like it's very like millennial. Like that's not supposed to happen at all. That's insane. You know.
Yeah, we should do another topic at some point of the future, you know, adventuring and all of that, because it is cool, and like I am curious how they got it's international waters, I guess.
Yes.
So that's a major reason why he's able to even do this sort of thing.
Yes,
I suppose. And so who is he? Is he accountable to anyone?
Right now so that's why the HBO Discovery Channel actually the documentary actually kind of covers more of that side where they're following the Coast Guard. Oh, and then they actually show footage of the wife hearing the implosion above water.
I've seen that. Yeah. And she's like, what, or whatever, or like
yeah. So she's just like she's at the computer, and you see this other old dude, just like this is like this old dude that's just there with like a beard and a mustache, and he's like, you know, and then the wife is looking at things, and then you hear poof in the background. And then the wife looks at the other old guy. He's like, "What was that bang?" And she's like she does like the little like nervous like smile, what like that. It's just like that gif of like that guy smiling or whatever. But she's like the opposite of like not she's trying to laugh, but she's not trying to like freak out and be horrified by what she just heard. And then they get a text from the submarine saying we dropped 2 weights, but this happened like seconds afterwards. And it's like they probably sent that text and exploded, and the text just got there. But then she thought that because she got the text like a couple seconds afterwards that they must be still alive. And then just a couple of seconds later, you see the old guy. He looks at the screen. He's like, "We've lost tracking." And then it already happened. Then it was already done.
Yeah.
But the Coast Guard wasted 4 days to do that because the Navy heard it, and the Navy didn't want to tell anyone.
Yeah, like why not? Like. It's just
I guess it was part of like Coast Guard protocol to just like do a search, even though they never really done anything like that before. And then so that's why they asked the Coast Guard. I was like, when has anyone took out a submarine and had an accident and like they had no certification, right? Or classification. They never classified the ship, right? And the Coast Guard was like, no one has ever done that before. No one has ever made a submarine and just taken it out without any classification. Like no one does this. No one just makes a fucking submarine and just goes down there, you know? And then so, you know, you look at submarine deaths over the last 60 years, and there was like 4 of them, and they were like all separate incidents and like nothing related to anything popping. And in this one incident doubled the amount of submarine deaths because it popped, you know? Wow. It was the first submarine death that was done by popping. So it's like this hubris, like it's crazy. It's absolutely insane. And like it almost feels like you reach a certain level of rich that you just stop thinking about like you don't have normal levels of like what safety looks like, you know?
Yeah.
Which I imagine like what politicians like the presidents kind of go through too, you know, because you're just surrounded by people who just take a fucking bullet for you, you know, as we just saw last year, you know.
Well, yeah, I got to maybe I'll get Netflix next. I had HBO for The Last of Us. And check that out.
Watch the HBO one. That one's really good too.
Yeah, I think we still have it.
They're both really good. The Netflix one is told a lot more narratively, and they even give each person they interview like a Kojima-like intro, where they're like, "Here's the accountant, and here is the interviewer, and here is the engineer, you know, and here is
hard, man.
Here is the whistleblower, here is Higgs, the particle of all life, you know." But the HBO one is like a lot more like straightforward, like kind of like a news documentary, you know. And then that's where they show the Destination Unknown guy just kind of freaking out like in the submarine too. Fascinating documentaries. I highly recommend. I talked about this in Seven Sign for a bit, but like, thank you for giving me a platform to just fucking vent about these fucking insane documentaries and this insane situation. Like,
you're very welcome. Very welcome, of course. All right, Cog, let's finish with you strong with topic number 3.
This is also a continuation of Defining Duke, my brethren, Matty. And
I saw your topic. I was like, oh, he really wants every bit of input here.
I do. I'm going through, it's fitting because you pick age. So it's like, I'm going through my video game midlife crisis right now. You know, I've consumed video games a long time. I pride myself on my skill set, doing things the intended way. And you know, I think that, it came up, and I think it all actually started. Actually, G, you are the actually catalyst for this, because I looked at this year, and I'm like, wow, Death Stranding. I'm looking at the reviews. I'm like, man, Death Stranding 2 is getting a lot of great reviews, right? And there's a part of me like, man, I want to be part of this conversation, right? So part of it is like, I got to get Death Stranding 1 finished, right? But then also Final Fantasy 16 finally came to Xbox, and I'm really enjoying that. And I'm like, man. And then the Altars came out of nowhere, and it just completely consumed me. So then I was caught up in that. So this all started with my pride, because I'm like, this is the first year that, in my opinion, I think I have the ability to beat every game of the year contender for the first time.
Ooh.
Right? So I beat Splitgate, I beat Kingdom Come Deliverance, I beat Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, and I'm sitting in, and what was the other one? The Indie Darling, right? So,
Blueprint.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, Death Stranding is a 90. That's looking up there. And I know I'm going to pick up Ghost of Yotai later this year, right? So I'm like, which could potentially, be a contender as well. So I'm like, man, I kind of need Death Stranding in the resume. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, I do not have the time. So I have to make a business decision. Which game am I going to play? And that's when the conversation came up on Duke. And I was just like, I'm going to leave it to the realm of the Dukes, guys. Like, I've never done this before. I'm playing 16. I actually start 16 also an influence, because 16, even though it doesn't have an easy mode, the amulet system allows you to, I can dodge easier. Nothing can't hit me and stuff like that. And this is new territory for me, right? So I'm saying, all right, let me try it. I'm like, all right. And I'm getting through this amazing narrative that I'm loving with 16, with Clive and the dominance, and I'm enjoying it. But then I'm torn. So I brought it to my bro, Matty. I'm like, Matty, I've never done story mode in a video game before. Right? And then it came up again, because Matty really wants me to play Lies of P. And I have this thing with Souls games, and I'm like, look, they're just not for me. Because I would always say that I know I can beat these games. This has nothing to do with skill level. It's just that at this stage of my life, in my 40s, I just didn't want to be mad, angry, because it brings out a very raging side of me when I can't beat something.
You've come so far.
Right. And I'm just like, I don't like that side of me. I like having enjoyment with video games, stuff like that. But I understand that Souls games are important, and I respect the intended experience of challenging yourself, beating something that you thought was unbeatable, right? Conquering that feeling and say, hey, I'm capable. I want it accomplished by me. So I understand the psyche. I actually respect it in From Software games. But then Matty was like, bro, Lies of P is out there. It's the Souls game you like, with a good narrative. Throw that joint on story. Nobody gonna judge you, bro.
Yeah,
and I'm torn. Like, so that's my dilemma. It's Death Stranding. It's the Souls genre, and I'm at this point of life where I'm like, am I affecting my gaming purity? Is it a big deal? How do you guys process it? Do you guys even do story mode, easy mode in video games? Do you feel lesser than, kind of thing? So I got to start with Colin on this, because I'm very curious. As a person, you're a trophy hunter. You're a completionist on a lot of things. Have you ever done story mode / easy mode? 2, if you haven't, is it a situation where it's like you feel like you don't want to rob the intended experience from the developer? And what advice would you give? Well,
my advice is to play however you want. I mean, that's kind of important to me. Is a lot of people always, I mean, just we are a public figure, so we're criticized in many ways. The way I play games is often criticized. And I don't really understand why anyone would care the way I play a video game. So like, I try to just parlay that into my life and say like, just do whatever you want. I mean, these things all exist. My assumption, especially in this era, beginning with Xbox 360 and PS3 with the connectivity and like sending a lot of data about the way people play games and heat mapping and trophy completion ratings and everything, people understand how you play games, and these things exist to facilitate more people to play them. And so that's fine with me. Mm-hmm. My personal take is I treat completion way more seriously than the volume of games that I play. And I play, I don't know, I should have counted in preparation for this. I play whatever I want. But I usually play 1 and maybe 2 games at a time at most. And those 2 games would have to be very different. So like a 3D game and a 2D game or something. And I like to, I've always, trophies have just made it worse, but I've always liked to 100% games. Like, you know, when you would have like memory cards on Dreamcast or PS1 or whatever, and you'd have like the 100% rating about like how far you've gotten in the game and you've gotten all the things and you've unlocked everything. You've done all the optional stuff. PS2 era really started introducing like a lot of things like with Onimusha and everything, where it's like, there's this whole other mode and things for you to master and scores for you to get, like Devil May Cry. And I always like doing that sort of thing. And so it's, have I ever played a game in story mode? No. Have I ever played a game in easy? No, really. I don't know that. Have I dropped a game to easy? Yes. The most recent example of that I remember, well, for sure, was after I beat God of War Ragnarok, when you were doing like one of the optional bosses or something, I was like, I'm not doing this.
Oh,
like,
those bosses were such
I was like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. Like, I'm not doing this. And I dropped it to easy, but I played the game on normal, as I would assume. If trophies require it, and I think I'm capable of it, so especially in games that I'm good at, like I'm obviously very good in 2D games, and I'm good at like FPS games and things of this nature, single player. I'll play it on hard if I have to, or very hard. And I've been doing that a lot with boomer shooters, especially, which are so difficult to begin with, and you just kind of are incrementally taking them a little bite at a time. I don't personally. So I guess my advice for you, or my question for you, Cog, would be, what value do you get out of playing a game like that and broadening the volume of games in you're playing, but not ever seeing them the way they were intended? Wouldn't it be better to have seen Final Fantasy 16 in a more naturalistic way, not only from a difficulty perspective, which is not even that important, but like, to me, it's more important to be like, did you do all the side quests? Did you explore? Did you do the optional bosses? Like, that's not necessary. I just beat Expedition 33 a couple weeks ago, and I didn't do the optional stuff. I did as much as I could, but I didn't do like the post game content. So there's obviously, you have to take it. You don't have to always do everything. Right. It should be about how you feel. But I think we put too much pressure on ourselves personally as critics and media people or whatever to play a lot of games. And my whole thing, and I just had a friend over this past weekend, and we talked about this very thing, actually, and I put it this way, was, it's not that I'm playing new games or playing different games that matters. What I want the audience to care about with me is that I'm always playing something. So if I'm spending, like, I spent 2 weeks just beating Borderlands 2 last month. So kind of a waste of time, but it's like, that's what I want to play. And I'm playing Death Stranding 1 right now still. Right? Like, the same situation, but I'm like, I'm doing the exact opposite thing as you. So I'm 60 hours into Death Stranding 1 right now. I'm in chapter 6 because I'm just building highways and
60 hours on chapter 6.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm doing every single thing that every single porter has for every single person, getting S ranks on them, building all the roads, upkeeping everything. And I'm like, there's, of course, the urgency. I've been in this industry for a long time. The devil on your shoulder being like, dude, the new game's out. People are going to care what you think about the new game. And I'm like, I'm getting context for that experience right now and enjoying myself. And I was reflecting to my friend, this is why it came up, was I'm actually enjoying video games more right now, like in the last few years, than I ever have probably in my adult life. And that overlaps pretty well with the fact that, like, I literally started writing at IGN when I was 17. So like my entire adult life was consumed by being fed things to do something with. And I kind of feel, so it's like write the strategy guide, preview the game, go to the event, review this, like, and
Preview.
right. And now I'm just like, you know what? I'm breaking free of it, even if it hurts the product. Like there are things I'm going to be there day one for no matter what. I was talking about how Power Wash Simulator 2 is like my most anticipated game. It definitely is. Like, I'll be there day one. Ghost of Yotei, I'm sure I'll be, as long as not, I'll be there. I'd like to replay Ghost of Tsushima actually, leading into it, and I think I will do that. And that's what I'm doing now, and that's where I'm getting the context. It was why I played Borderlands 1 and 2 this year. Again, it's why I played Doom 2016 again and Doom Eternal again this year. It's why, so you got to do what you got to do, and you have to kind of satiate whatever it is you're trying to fulfill. But for me, it's always about playing things, but and taking breaks if you need to, but not about the volume of games, but rather about the completion of them and seeing them through and maybe experiencing them in ways a lot of people don't. I think that makes your perspective more valuable. Like, the one thing that's for sure is that if you're playing Death Stranding on story mode and just doing the main quest, like, your perspective on the game is not very interesting, I don't think. Like, because you didn't play it the way, like, but you fulfilled that need to play it, or you felt like you checked the box off. And I would just ask anyone, not only you, but anyone, the wisdom in that. I lived that life for many years, and it was a grind, and I don't want to do it anymore.
See, and that the crossroads where you are, we are trending in opposite directions. So you're coming from a place of extreme access with IGN and extreme responsibility, and hey, preview event, this event. And now, like with me, like I talked to you before we started recording, IOP was kind of trending this way, and now I'm getting access, right? So it's just like, now there's a responsibility to the audience. Like, hey, I played this. What's the impressions? Whatever. And then you're getting so many things. So now you have to make the decision, right? Where it's like the personal enjoyment part of me is getting minimized because of the responsibility to the business, right? So now it's like, okay, and Maddie knows this about me well. Like, I pride myself, if I am having a good time with something, I'm stopping everything I'm doing to finish. And that's what happened with Alters. I didn't see it coming. It was my little draft pick. I said, this looks cool. Me and Gene, we did a summer side with Brad. And I'm like, this game has me. I literally stopped Final Fantasy 16, put it on hold, put Death Stranding 1 aspirations on hold, and just wrap myself and did multiple endings, did like all this stuff. That's how much it really happened. Shout out to 11-bit. I think that game is, I think you should try it, Colin. I think you would.
Yeah, I saw you guys talking about it, and I've seen other people talking about it. I didn't even follow anything about it.
So. I think it's a Colin game. Me and you share these. My COD games always seem to cross over with you because we had Path of the Goddess. We had a couple other ones that I feel like they're very, very specific.
Were you a Pentiment person?
Hell yes.
Yeah, me too. I fucking loved that game. Oh my God, what a game, dude.
Bro,
what a game!
Always, it's amazing. It's amazing, and it's just one of those things. So I'm just like, all right, cool. So then, like I said, with Maddie and the conversation I had with the Roman and Dukes, I'm just like, man, I really want to be part of this conversation and catch up to what Gene is doing. Like, I'm looking at Gene. He's living his best life right now. He's playing something that seems to be amazing, and I'm like, damn. And it's just, I guess what it is, Colin, is the discipline to not be part of the conversation at the moment. And that's really what the root of it is, what I'm saying, kind of thing. And I have to make that decision on whether or not I want to play something with, with that intent. But let me give it to Matt. I'm gonna save you for last because I know we've had this conversation recently, but I'm curious, G, like what's your advice? Like how should I handle this? Am I cheapening this experience with Death Stranding by even attempting to do that, or just story mode in general? Have you done this at all? I mean, you play a ton of games, review a ton of games for the post and stuff. So I'm curious what your perspective is and how you handle it.
I am I guess fairly nuanced in story mode. So I actually recommend play if you really want to just hop in on Death Stranding 2. You see the hype, you see the reviews, and you're like, oh man, but I couldn't get into DS1 or I never played DS1, and I just really want to hop into DS2. And it's like, I think you kind of need to play DS1. You need to experience the story to get it, right? And it's like, for me, my advice is just play story mode. Like you're gonna get the gameplay, and you're gonna get much better gameplay in DS2. If you just want to get to that, but just play story mode in DS1, and you'll get like the core, you get the core loop, but then you will just kind of like run through it or whatever, But I think you should play it. For me, easy mode is interesting because it's like here's the thing. I always turn on easy modes.
Be honest. Judge me.
Yeah, I always turn on easy modes for Naughty Dog games specifically.
Really?
Yeah. because I think it's weird that you have to shoot a guy 7 times before they die. You know? But when you knock Naughty Dog games specifically down to story mode or easy mode, they die in at most 3 hits. You can get a headshot in and they'll die. But then, like, if you body shot them, they'll go down in 3 hits, which makes sense. You're like, and you're kind of accounting for missing or whatever like that. I think it was always weird whenever I fucking play Uncharted, and like I'd just be blasting these brown dudes, and they'll just be like, and they just wouldn't go down. Like, it just made no sense to me. Like, it always took me out. Now, when it comes to that's why I only say exclusively Naughty Dog games or Naughty Dog or games like it. Because like it's not a universal rule for shooters, because it's like sometimes like, you know, I feel like it's like not immersive when I'm shooting somebody and then they don't die like fairly quickly, like the quote unquote time to kill. But then for a game like Halo though, like the time to kill is important. So like for Halo, I bump it up all the way to legendary. Like I can't play Halo without playing. For me, the intended experience, which is not really, but normal or heroic might be the intended experience, but I always bumped up to legendary because I want to feel that pressure. I want to feel the intensity, you know. I am getting older though, so like now when I play Halo, I actually do bump it down to normal or heroic, just to kind of like, you know, just kind of get the feel of the core gameplay without pressurizing so much though. Liza P, I totally recommend to Colin if he wants to just finish the Souls game, because it's like you don't have to worry too much about perfect guarding or dodging so much. You know, I played Liza P on easy mode, so the default difficulty of Liza P is the hardest difficulty.
Wow.
And then the update gave you 2 easier modes down. You know, there's a normal mode and easy mode, and those are 2 easier modes that never existed before.
That's what Maddie made attention to me.
I think you should try it out. I think it's good training wheels for Souls, where you kind of understand it, and also like you get the story, man. Like the story for Liza P is great.
Is what you're there for. I mean, like Liza P is a very impressive Souls-like game, because I think it's the closest we've ever really got to like, oh, this is not From Software. This feels like From Software though. But I guess in the terms of new, like not really. The newest thing they're doing is like, oh, we told a really great story in all of the things that you expect in a Souls-like game.
Exactly. I mentioned this summon sign, where it's like part of the wonderful thing, because in like Dark Souls or Elden Ring, like they're like, oh, tarnished, whatever, like that, and they're like monologuing you, but like I have no fucking idea who the fuck you are. You know, I just got here, man, and you're so mad at me, right? Whereas in Liza P, people are like, oh, you're fucking Pinocchio. Like these are bosses that have like a long history with the character, or the circumstances of the world. So like as you're fighting, like they're talking to you. So like you're getting like story moments as like you're fighting, which is like so much more rewarding than I think a lot of FromSoft games are. Like hot take, I think Liza P is better than Bloodborne, actually. In a lot of ways.
I gotta replay Bloodborne, but I think once I play Overture, I can finalize that take. But I'm not. That's not too outlandish to me. Liza P literally builds upon Bloodborne. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, Liza P would not exist without Bloodborne. So Bloodborne is the originator, the innovator, and like I think Bloodborne has like better art and better like atmosphere and like, you know, better level design too, right? But like in terms of story, and better weapons, but in terms of story, in terms of like, you know, pacing and just like, you know, just some of the boss battles, like I really think Liza P like has a couple things better than Bloodborne, actually. You know, that's how good it is.
Yeah, it's by the way, Liza P just surpassed 3 million copies sold. I saw.
Wow.
Yep.
So congratulations to them.
So really, really good success. Yeah, and they just got raises and everything like that over that Korean studio, which is fantastic for them. Good. But for easy mode, like sometimes I just want to chill when I'm playing a game. So like when I first play a game, I'll play it on normal mode. Okay. But when I replay games, I do knock them down on easy, because like sometimes I just want to be able to get into the game and just like in like have fun with something, you know, like Devil May Cry games. I don't really do easy mode, because like I'm hardcore in Devil May Cry games. I want to finish Dante Must Die mode. I want to finish the hardest mode, right? I want to get all the unlockables. But once I finish all of that, I will reward myself finally by going back down to easy mode, getting those trophies for easy mode, or getting the ranks for easy mode, and just enjoying myself, enjoying the atmosphere, enjoying the art. So like when I knock things down to easy mode, it's because I'm trying to enjoy like other aspects of the game besides the actual gameplay itself, you know? So that's where I come from, easy mode. Naughty Dog get games like separately because I just think it's weird that they
because it's an immersion breaking thing for you.
They're such bullet sponges. It's weird.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing I didn't really like about the Division. You know, like I love the Division. I think it's a fucking awesome game, right?
Where you going? Yes,
but it's like, dude, like these are Destiny monsters, man.
Yeah.
So like in my head canon, I have to be like. In my head, kind of like the disease also made these people into like super soldiers, so that's why I had to fucking fire the entire clip in them before their fucking life meter goes down or whatever like that, you know?
Yeah.
I don't also like it when RPGs scale with you, which is why Assassin's Creed Odyssey is my least favorite Assassin's Creed.
I hate that shit too. I hate it.
I hate that shit. When I'm leveling up, I like Colin, you and me come from Dragon Quest days, right? So it's like, when I'm leveling it up, I want to be able to be powerful. I earn the right to fucking kick your ass.
Yeah, they know they know that this sucks because when they re-released Lunar Silver Star Story earlier this year, I played it through, and that famously had boss scaling, and they removed it because it sucks. You know, like it's like in a role-playing game, the idea is you're supposed to be able to overcome it by leveling. Like if you want, it's going to be annoying and you're going to grind, but that's the whole purpose. So why is it getting harder with me? It's like, what is then it becomes like Final Fantasy VIII, where the idea is to just play it as little as possible.
The junction system, yeah. Or Oblivion too, which is why I kind of like tapped out of Oblivion remaster because I forgot like, oh my god, this fucking game scales up with you, you know? So it's like, that's why I love Skyrim so much. But Oblivion was so annoying about it.
There's something like what's funny is that in role-playing games is that neither answer really makes any sense for the world. Like we just don't think about it too much. Like why in Dragon Quest am I always running into the harder enemies later and the weaker enemies early? Why in Fallout am I running into, you know, rad roaches early and then later I run into death claws? Like why wouldn't I just immediately run into the death claw and die? So the funny thing is that there's no like plot resolution to the choice. It's just about what you prefer, and I don't know who prefers leveling, like scaling like that. I don't know.
I guess a lot of people who want to just keep up with that challenge, like, you know, I guess again, younger people or people who just want to just feel like that pressure all the time, which I understand. I totally get it. You know, I understand. I love being challenged by hard games. You know, but again, like. That's where I come in with easy mode. Like I will play easy mode after I've kind of done with everything, and like easy mode is like kind of like my vacation into the game. You know,
gotcha.
I'll dial up human mode in Devil May Cry 5, and it's kind of cool because like sometimes these enemies will just die in like two slashes, and it's like fuck yeah, dude. Dante in like the TV show would kill an enemy in like 1 or 2 slashes. So that's why it's like now I'm like kind of directing my own movie with this, you know, my own stylish movie, and it becomes a different type of game where it's like, how fast can I kill these people? You know, I'm still challenging myself in different ways, but in an easy mode. Sometimes easy modes are like I played story mode in Death Stranding, like that is like fucking ridiculously. So that's why like I recommend it because it's like there's like no friction whatsoever. You're just walking, you know.
Turn into the walking sim.
Yeah, it really does like turn into like you know what's the walking thing, Dear Esther or whatever, but like for 40 hours. But it's like you really want to get at least you want to get the experience and you want to get the vibes, and that's cool. But normally, I wouldn't recommend playing story mode for in your first go. But I totally get it. I'm Cog. You and I are about the same age, so I'm getting older too. So I'm getting tired. You know, I knocked Expedition 33 down to easy mode a couple times, you know, because I was just like, I just need to get past this. Right
Micah did the same thing. Yeah, like
Micah did. Okay.
I'm proud that I never did for that game. Yeah, like it
Expedition.
You just had I've said this on. I guess you guys probably didn't hear me say this because I said it on Sacred Symbols or maybe on the spoiler cast or whatever that I did. But so I guess some of us would have been here, but it's like it's one of those games you just needed to sleep on and then come back and you could do it every time. At least for me, like every time I had difficulty, it's just like I'm gonna come to this next day and just it's over. It's just a rhythm game.
Oh yeah. We talk about with Dark Souls all the time too, where it's like I can't fucking I'm flustered right now, so I need a good night's rest and I'll come back to it. You know. Expedition 3 to me, it was mostly the optional areas where it was just
The
like,
optional
oh my
bosses
God.
were tougher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the bosses are fine. Like I actually did the bosses on normal. I knocked it back up to normal on that one. But the some of the mobs were just like taking so long, and I was just like, I know how to beat these guys. I know how to beat them. Like I can beat them. It's just taking a long time because like their fucking windups are so fucking slow, and and it's just it's just like, let me just get through with this real quick, and just like, get through this dungeon. So it wasn't even like a challenge or anything like that. It's just like I just need to get through this faster right now because this is kind of boring,
I feel Batty.
Hello.
The continuation of the conversation.
Yeah. Thoughts have evolved.
Yes. Waiting for the writing is going to be interesting.
I think it's going to be a fun week next week.
So look, man, I'm still struggling. As you can see, it came back up today.
Yeah, here we are.
I need my brethren, and I need help, man. I'm still torn. I still feel, some level of sacrilege. It's like, oh my God, I'm ruining the intended experience. But
I understand.
Help me on the ledge. Which way should I go?
I mean, I review games for a living, and I've cranked it down before. I mean, I think it depends what you're willing to put.
Crank that bad.
Whoa! It depends what the experience is doing for you. Veil Garden is an example where I turned it down because I was in survival mode. I was like, this shit sucks. I need to get to the end. Like that's my crank down. Like that's usually my rule.
Yeah.
It's usually when something's really bad is when I turn down. So God of War 2018, I beat the main story on whatever the normal difficulty was. That was fine. I wanted to get the platinum. I started doing the Valkyrie fights is what they were called, I think. They were fucking horrible. I was just like, this sucks, dude. Like you could tell when people reviewed the game, they didn't do this stuff because I was like, the combat just got exposed there. Like the dodge rolling and the iframes. I was like, this is terrible. So I turned it down to easy. I was like, I'm just going to finish it this way. Because in my head, I was like, I paid my dues. I paid my dues.
Yeah.
And whatever is getting me to that point. Veilguard was a matter of survival. It's like, I have suffered enough. Something like
Veilguard, I put that down to easy, man. Oh my God, dude.
God of War was something like, okay, I've paid my dues. I did the main meat of the game where it was most tested on normal. I'm here for the platinum. I'm putting in my extra time. If this were enjoyable, I'd keep it. It's not, I'm knocking it down. That's usually my rule of thumb for knocking it down. I think what's interesting is I've played games for so long and I'd say I'm pretty good at them, but I never really start on a hard mode because I feel like a lot of games, and I think it's because I was like born and raised on Bethesda Game Studios games. I have like a stigma with hard mode because they do it where they just multiply how much damage enemies do to you and they give them more health and then they negate how much damage you do. It's like the worst version of a difficulty mode I think you could have because it's just like, they're spongy and you do less damage now. So you just shoot at them for, I heard you guys talking about Division 2. Like like you shoot at them forever or you slash at them forever. It's just not as fun and it breaks your head canon. So I don't really mess around on like hardest difficulty settings. I like games that reward your creativity more. So I think of like Dishonored. Like Dishonored, to me, difficulty starts to matter little because the real difficulty is like, well, I went through the whole game and did a ghost mode playthrough. No one saw me. That's like challenging myself. So what I'm getting at with all of this is, I guess it's how much you want to challenge yourself. But I think the idea of just like, I'm with Colin. Like I think completing and playing is far more important. So long as you yourself know you're not neutering the core experience of the game. Like I said before, one of your parts of your dilemma is 16. I think 16's combat's awful. So I'm like, you're not losing anything.
So crazy. Oh my
goodness.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think it's just so
16 combat's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they about to fight.
So, I'm just saying in Cog's defense here, I'm like, dude, if you turn it down, I'd be like, go for it, man. Like that is where I'd say like enter that part of your experience where it's like, I'm here to get to the end.
I just want to for a second, because again, I've never done a story mode ever in a game, right?
Sure.
16 is the first time I flirted with any form of an assist. Because again, they have these amulets where it's like you can hit it where it's like you don't get hit at all. But I put it where it's like I have a 5-second window to dodge right before the enemy is about to hit. That's the first. I'm like, oh wow, this is interesting. You know what I'm saying? And I was actually like enjoying it a little bit because I was getting through some parts. And then I was getting to the story, which I was really loving. But I'm sorry, I just wanted to put that out there as
Yeah.
far as what you were saying in reference to 16.
Yeah,
to
I'm
combat
endorsing
and
using your amulets. I think the combat system gets flat, so it's definitely one of those things where if you wanted
You're
to
not
do
invited.
the straight away, you know,
You're
you
not invited to say.
I totally see knocking.
I don't get offended by people's opinions. I don't know what, like, that's totally fine that he feels that way.
I'm still in show.
I totally get knocking 16 down because it gets so tiring after a while. Like by the end of the game, I'm like so tired of like doing all these
hour
fucking
20
combos and stuff.
Yeah, it's like there's a reason DMC is like a 10-hour game. Is how
Exactly,
I word it. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
there's a reason why these games aren't very long, and it's.
I
Not
think the
like,
Final
how
Fantasy
good
16
it
combat is awesome, but like it gets so exhausting. So that's why. Also, I like the timing dodge amulet. I like the special. Like I say this all the time. I love slow mo effects. You know. You know,
Colin, did you use any of those amulets?
No,
I know he didn't.
No, I personally loved. I think Final Fantasy 16 is like one of the best Final Fantasy games. Like it's, I
want to replay it.
Game.
Like there's too many people around me who are like, "Oh, it's so good." I'm like, really?
I love it. I mean, I think it's fucking awesome. Like I think it's real, except for, you know, obviously 4, 6, 7. Then you're kind of talking about potentially putting 16 in there, in my opinion, as the next best Final Fantasy game.
I think it plays better on repeat, Matt, especially since you're kind of like
many Final Fantasy games in my experience have.
It does.
There's very few that I loved right off the bat. Like 12 is one of my favorites.
Yeah,
12 I hated at first.
Yes.
So there is something to be said about my experience with the series that I've always been honest about, but there have been like games like Rebirth where I come out, I'm like, that was amazing. You know, I love that.
And for me, my bias is towards the tone of it. I love the tone of the game. It's just, I don't know, it's speaking to me for whatever reason. That's what I want from, I feel like I needed a mature Final Fantasy that's almost Game of Thronesian, and it's speaking to me. But I was
you like Type 0 as well. Type 0 is an M for mature Final Fantasy game that I think is pretty underrated.
That's a pull. Yeah.
Not nearly as good as 16, but the other thing I'd say, you know, that I didn't think about when we were first talking about it is like falling subject to the zeitgeist. Like, I feel we're doomed in the sense of there's so much coming out that there's always something you are skipping. And I think just that the competition's gotten so strong that we're actively choosing to miss more great things. Like, I don't like that I had to shelve Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Part of it, I'm a product of, I guess, the system, if you will, where I was banking on my review code because I knew what my game schedule was going to be. And when Warhorse kind of fucked up my review code and I didn't get to play until like a week in advance, I was like, damn, like they were trying to give me a month. That month would have been perfect.
Yeah.
But I got a week, which, you know, it's fine. It's definitely a game that's worth it. But it immediately, what I expected to happen happened. I collided right into other things that I wanted to play. I made my priorities. I got to a good stopping point in Kingdom Come Deliverance where I unlocked like the second map, and I said, all right, we'll hit you up later. But yeah, like I think just in that decision, I had to accept, like, I'm not going to do my final verdict video in the timing I want to for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I'm not going to talk about it in the way at the time my audience wants me to. And by the time I do that, if at all, they're not going to care as much. But like, that's happened a billion times to me. Like I started doing it really, I think in like 2013, where just games were getting so good that year. I was like, I just can't play and beat everything, because I think eventually when you start trying to play and beat and review and talk about and be in that zeitgeist and everything, like you just don't form a great opinion. And I think my rule of thumb has always been, since I first started YouTube, I was like, you don't need to have an opinion on everything. In fact, I think the people who do, like those who are on Twitter, like constantly giving takes on everything, it's like, you're fucking annoying, dude. Like no human can process and have this many thoughts on this many things that are meaningful, you know, before you start sounding like everyone else. So what I'm also saying is, like, I played and beat Death Stranding 1 for the first time and just put a video out on it today or yesterday. And the video is doing great. And I'm, when it come out in 2019, I'm 6 years late to it. So there's there's still interest in that, because people are like, oh yeah, like Death Stranding 2 is coming out now. This dude like slept on the game for a while, slandered the game. So there's always a story to tell, and there's value to the opinion. And even if you're out of the zeitgeist, there's like, that's what you as a creator brings to the table, right? So if you don't do Death Stranding 2 now, I know you want to do all the Game of the Year candidates, but like, I think that's okay if that ends up like jeopardizing your 16 experience, because like your story to tell of the journey through 1, I loved it. I dove right into Death Stranding 2. Like, that's me. I dove right into 2. When Brad and a lot of people were warning me, like, I don't know, Maddie, like you might burn yourself out. I'm like, no, the gameplay was sick. Like, I really like that. That's part of the story that you get to tell. And that when you share that with the audience, they hear that and they're like, oh man, that must be way better than I thought it was. I thought it was just a walking sim. So I guess what I say is like the zeitgeist is very tempting, but you can always kind of, number one, make your own. Like, people love your energy and how infectious it is. But two is that I guess you'll always be skipping something. Well, if it's not Death Stranding 2, I mean, there's something else in June or July. July's looking a little low, but you might want to try Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers. Like, you might, after Liza P, go like, hey,
really good,
yeah, you might go after Liza P like, okay, confidence building exercise. I can do this and I didn't get pissed. I'm going to go try another Souls-like style. Like, that might just be your journey. And Cog's journey into Souls-like is, like, to me, fascinating beyond the zeitgeist because it's you.
Because my biasness with, and again, I think Gene said it well. Why? No disrespect to Front, like Elder, amazing. Like, I'm never going to be disrespectful like that. I get it. It's just, for me, I think, besides the challenge and stuff, and like I told you where I'm at in my life, but if you're not telling a compelling story, it's hard for me to connect, right? Sure. And I think where your Liza P argument kind of sells me is that. And then I will admit, I am having a bias towards Asian theme Souls, because I'm like, oh, I like this martial arts. I'm into it. So when I see, you know what I'm saying, Wu Chang and, you know what I mean, I'm seeing those stuff y'all talk, I'm like, ooh, that might be the hook to get me. You know what I'm saying?
Did you play Wukong?
You know what's funny? I did not.
Oh, it's not coming out for. Well, it only came out for Xbox, like
right. And then I was just came for Xbox later, right, which I, you know, would have
forgot about that. Yeah.
So you had that aspect of it, and then the performance. Because I was speaking to Addict, and I know that was going to be the one. The reason why I did it is because he was telling me like there was some input latency based on the fidelity or the performance mode. And I was like, I don't want to go through that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I heard it was not as good optimized in the beginning at launch. Maybe they've come out with subsequent patches, but that's what was kind of conveyed to me. And I was just like, well, I don't want that kind of experience in a thing that's going to rely on, you know, button timing and precision and stuff like that. But I will admit, I was like, yo, that son Wukong joint look crazy. Like, the martial arts is the hook to get Cog in. You throw ninjas and martial arts in, then all of a sudden I got interest.
It's so funny, man. Like, I'm feeling, and have for years now, the exact opposite, where it's like, this shit's all blurring together for me. Where, I guess you could say all Asian games look the same.
I got you.
No, like,
you know what? I can't even.
That was a good joke.
That was a good joke. Sometimes I'm like, oh, Phantom Blade Zero and Phantom this thing and that thing. You know,
that was a good joke. I thought that was a good joke.
It's a joke.
It's what people are calling katana slop.
Yeah, katana. Yeah. It is like
I actually for everything. I fucking can't. Let shit exist.
Ninjas are one thing, right? Okay. Ninjas are one thing. So like, I'm not going to play Ninja Gaiden. The new, I'll play the side-scrolling Ninja Gaiden because that looks fucking insane. And it's the first one.
So Rage Bound.
Rage Bound. It's the first one in 30 something years. It's like amazing.
I played it. It's good.
Oh, I'm sure, dude. Like, but I'm not going to. I don't care about Ninja Gaiden 4 or anything like that. But ninjas, I don't care about. I don't want to play any of that stuff. But ninjas don't turn me off. Ninjas are a turn on still. Like the classic ninja, the black, garb and the fucking ninja stars. And do we tell the story about how Dagan got ninja stars like when we were a kid, like real ninja stars, like in Chinatown when I was in elementary school, and we would throw them against the fence, and my dad like freaked out at us and we were fucking the fence up. Because you were like constantly just throwing them against the fence. And I was literally like 8 or whatever.
I bought throwing knives in Lake George because I used to watch Naruto a lot, and I just like fucked up the tree in our front yard by just like fucking these things at the tree.
Just killed it.
Like I tried to throw them like they do in the show. They kind of like backhand them, and like this thing was just dudding. So I just started like literally whipping them at the tree.
And nunchucks.
Oh, nunchucks are all. I mean, it's all. It's that. All that shit's cool, but like, it's more of like the Romance of the Three Kingdoms styled. Like it's about this, great kingdom and this war, and I'm like Dynasty Warriors type shit. It seems like it's all. It's like I'm like, all right. I'm good on this. I'm good on all of this. So
that's why when Assassin's Creed Shadows was like about Nobunaga Oda, and I was like, only the most famous video game like Japanese warlord of all time, and you're just doing him again now. Okay, all right.
Yeah, that was Samurai Warriors too for me. I don't know. I feel like you're clear to kind of turn it down if you want to. It's if it's an ego thing, yeah, I think you just let that go, because I think as long as you keep the skills sharp in the gym, so to say, right? Like, you know, you're not turning everything down to easy difficulty. I mean, if that's what you want to do, go ahead. But I think for you, because you pride yourself on going through the authentic challenge, it's like, I think if you're just, I think making exceptions is a totally normal part of it all. Like, again, you heard me just document a couple of reviews I did where I was like, no, down we go.
This is great advice. And I will say, I do like your comment, Matty, about, you know, sometimes it's okay to not be in the zeitgeist, have to worry about it all the time. Also, play things at your own leisure and do things, and you know, and then you have an enjoyment or perspective later or something that's cool too. So yeah, just again, I'm just going through my gaming midlife crisis.
Yeah, Retro Rebound taught me a lot about being late to things is fun. You know, you have to deal with the occasional asshole who writes like, "Oh wow, you're just getting to this now. Oh my god, you do this for a living." You know, that sort of bullshit. But the fun is, you know, it's art, and like it can be interpreted completely different. It's, in fact, many games feel like they take on a life of their own away from the zeitgeist.
Yeah,
there's no noise, there's no input. You just are there with your own thoughts. It's a beautiful thing, and that's why while I'm upset there's a lot of classics I missed, there's so many I get to experience now without knowing what anyone was saying at the time, what was the hype. It's just like, what's the expectation? There is something very beautiful about that I think social media has kind of removed for a lot of people. And I get why, because being part of the excitement, I think of Expedition 33 is like, that was so much fun. Oblivion Remastered, that was so much fun. Like, so there's nothing wrong with wanting to be part of it. I think it's a good thing. But I think people do also forget, like, getting away from it and having that kind of pocket of like, I played Mega Man Legends for the first time at the top of this year. I was like, this is fucking amazing. Like, and just only knowing, this is like, you know, because for me growing up, I played X7. I hate that game. And I remember forever just slandering 3D Mega Man. I was like, I don't know if this could really work. And then I hear about Legends. I'm like, there is a 3D Mega Man. And 3D Mega Man actually can work. And just developing that kind of storyline of like how I played the whole series
I just realized what you're talking about.
Yeah. X7 is it's a national treasure, man. But you know, just developing that sort of story that you get to tell of like the curve that you went on. Like, I started with X8, then went to X7, and then played Maverick Hunter on my PSP, and then thought 3D Mega Man was washed until I was 29 years old, and I played Legends 1, and I fucking loved it. I thought the game was amazing. Like, I think there's something beautiful about that you should embrace for sure. So, you know, take it at your leisure. Yeah, you're supposed to love it.
I also just feel like, and this is basically what has been said already, but just to kind of encapsulate it is, maybe this is really out of touch, but like my personal interpretation of games today is that it's not about the current thing necessarily, and it's going to become less about the current thing, because it's like light through a prism. Everyone's just being split into like a billion different directions, and no one can keep up with anything. So people are just going to perpetually rediscover shit forever in ways that we never really saw before. You were raised on Mario, and Nintendo was very manageable because there was only a handful of games. And we've talked about that a million times, that even the PS2 having a couple thousand games was considered crazy. And now Sony in their financials are bragging about how they had 9,000 games published last year or something crazy like that, or like whatever it is available now, or like these numbers are jumping hundreds of %. So I feel like there's the whole hype beast thing of like being in on the most recent thing is always going to be there's always going to be some sort of relevance. Obviously when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out or whatever, but also in 20 years, I imagine people are still going to be playing Fortnite, and millions of people, and they might just be discovering Death Stranding then. And I feel like that route towards discovery is going to become more pronounced, simply the way people are scattered. We're all old enough to remember the periods, especially now, like this time of the year, where nothing would come out. Nothing. There wouldn't be there would be like maybe some licensed things or some random thing. There might be like one hit in the summer. And then really it started coming back when Madden would launch in August. Then you would start seeing and the sports games start rolling out. Then things would start coming out. But like, you really could like look at the release schedule and be like, from April to August or April to October, there's like nothing for me to play. Nothing new. Yeah. And then that's when you were desperate. But like, now I'm desperate for that time to come back. Now I'm desperate for there to be, I say it all the time, just stop. I wouldn't give a fuck if they stopped releasing new games, like completely. Like there was just like something where it's just like, nope, no more new games for 5 years. I'd be like, great.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Catch up.
I'm right there with you. Totally.
Yeah, like I'd be like, oh my God, like what an opportunity to not be inundated with even more shit. So I miss more things, putting myself further behind the 8 ball. So I just don't relate. And I think that's kind of seeped into the way I play games now, where I'm like, whatever, man. Like there are going to be things The Last of Us Part 3, I'll be up that thing's ass. There's like no doubt about it.
Yeah,
right? Intergalactic is a great example. Like I'll play that minute 1. But even I felt that way about Death Stranding too. I'm a huge Death Stranding fan, but I didn't, when I started playing Death Stranding 1 a few weeks ago, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be done with this in time. What am I going to do? And then I was just like, it doesn't matter, dude.
So let me ask you a question though. That's actually, we and you are actually the same pocket. So like what made you not get a part of Death Stranding at the time of its initial zeitgeist? Was it something that you say, hey, I don't know if I'll be interested in it?
I played it when it came out.
No, Colin loves it right immediately.
You're playing it.
Yeah, I'm replaying it. Yeah,
okay, gotcha.
I played it on PS4 in 2019, and now I'm playing the director's cut on PS5, which is quite different. I was actually surprised. Like there are things in it that just fundamentally change it.
Oh, the maser gun. Yeah, you were talking about the maser gun.
That alone, I was like, because I felt so stupid, Gene. Like, I was like, why didn't I do this in the first game? And felt this way for like days. Where I'm like, why was it so hard for me to fight? Like, what was wrong with me? And then I finally asked ChatGPT, like, what are the differences between the original and director's cut? And it's like, oh, it added all these different things, including like more
a ton of shit, actually. Yeah.
So Micah makes fun of this about me because she really doesn't like replaying games typically, or at least she gives a long breath to them. But when like something big is coming out, I'm not going to do it more than once, but I like going back and replaying the previous game. So when Spider-Man 2 came out, I never played Spider-Man on PS5, and I played Miles Morales on PS5. So I went and played Spider-Man on PS5 and Miles Morales on PS4. Got all the trophies for them and just re-immersed myself with them. Knowing Doom's come out, which I still haven't played, but I bought, and it's just sitting there. I was like, I never even beat Doom Eternal. I replayed Doom 2016 and Doom. Borderlands 4 is coming out. I'm like, I never even beat any of these games. I played them all a million hours, so I beat Borderlands 1 and 2. I'm very much like that. So
I've been getting into that pocket too.
I like getting into the mindset of it.
Me too. When Last of Us Season 2 aired, I was like, I'm playing The Last of Us Part 2 completely.
There's just more value to it, I think. And I think there are different kinds of audiences. Like the IGN audience or whatever or like the more casual audience we would never get away with that. Like you got to hit the embargoes. You got to be there day one. Maddie probably feels a little bit of that pressure on his channel. Although I think a lot of those people are ride or die. And like you said, with Death Stranding, this is an ancient game, although relevant right now. So maybe that's why it would pop. ILP probably has a similar sort of feeling. Obviously, the post is going to be very selective about what you cover and have to be really relevant. And
they don't care when I cover it. For me, it's the self pressure because it's like, oh, I want to meet the embargo so I can hit the publishing date. But no one's telling me like, Gene, you need to finish Death Stranding 2 by this time because like they don't fucking know what I'm doing anyways.
But for me, I've gone out of my way to establish myself, at least these days, as just don't come to me for that because I'm an industry analyst first and foremost. I think that people good. More than and I think I have very valuable criticism. I think I understand games at an expert level, and I love to talk about them. But I just don't feel that grind anymore. And I love the way you put it, Cog. It's like we're on different trajectories where I've already been there and you're going there.
Yeah, and it's the day of the embargo and the event. Now, and it's just like the conversation.
I'll say this: I was there from 2002 to 2017, maybe. You have it way harder. There's so much more. Like a lot of where I was, like summers, like we wouldn't even know what to fucking talk about. You know, like this time of year, like we'd be like, what the fuck are we going to write about, dude? That's why we were so excited about E3 and then stretching that out as much as possible. And then it's like now there's just people are shoving codes down your throats, I'm sure. Because I would get a code, dude. I remember when there were weeks on the PSN where nothing would come out for like 2 weeks at a time. Now, like there's like no days where nothing comes out. So I think the situation you're going into is an extreme version of what I experienced, and so you have to, especially because you play on multiple platforms. I mean, you're obviously in most the Xbox/PC ecosystem, but I was really just focused on PlayStation. So and I felt that. So I can't even imagine being agnostic, and then dealing with that and getting codes is a transaction. Like, if you don't do anything with the code, then you might have a hard time getting a new one. And so you have to, again, this is why I'm so happy I divorced myself from this, dude. Like, because I feel it. I know it. I get it intrinsically. I totally get it. And and they'll message you, be like, where's the review or what?
We noticed you had some time out there.
People
Just
follow up
curious.
on you like that, Cog?
Oh, bro.
Really?
Hey, we know again, but in
If
fairness
you get
to
a
the PR
review code and you don't post anything, they follow up.
no. In fairness to the PR company, if you accept or request, then there is a unwritten obligation to post coverage, right? So again, there's people who throw codes at me, but if I didn't respond to you, I'm
That's what I thought you meant. I was going to say,
no.
because I get that type of shit, and I'm just like,
if you throw something at me randomly, I had no interaction with you, you're not getting any.
Yeah, and to reiterate, dude, these codes are free, given by the fucking hundreds and even thousands, and mean nothing to these companies. So don't feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Colin, saying that over the years.
I don't hit the dates, and like even for codes I have requested, like I completely miss or something like that. I got Death Stranding 2 like 2 weeks early. I couldn't play because I was just like playing Death Stranding 1. That was a real willpower exercise because obviously your content creator brain's going one way, your heart's going the other. You're like, this is the right thing to do. I just need to play it, buckle in and play the first one and just take it at my own pace. And I dove right into 2 afterwards, but not enough time to like form any sort of meaningful opinion on the game. But yeah, I was gonna say I'd be really worried if there were publishers that were like breathing down your neck about coverage, because like I said, I've had times where I do get those codes and it's like just life happens. Like, because most times the emails will usually include like if you choose to cover it, X, Y, and Z. Like if you choose to cover it, just mention this is like a code gifted by Xbox or something like that, something along those lines. So it's like they kind of hand them out knowing you just might not do anything with this.
Yep.
Because their job, they have people whose jobs are to assess like who's most likely to cover. They know if they give you the code, like it's still a coin toss. It's a big part of the job for them.
Yeah, the whole code game bothers me because I just know because I know how it works. I didn't, but now I do, and that's
you have no idea how crazy I'm gonna go if I see just how fucking easy this is when we get to that point.
You're going to see how easy it is, dude.
Yeah.
Like they give you documents like Google document or like Excel sheets with just fucking a billion codes on them. Like you wouldn't even be able to give them all away. That's the whole thing I'm saying. That's why I think PR people should be confronted when they're like, we're out of codes. It's like, no, you're not.
I'm always very direct. Like I'm not I shouldn't say I'm not a prick. I definitely am a bit of a prick because I know when it's like, sorry, we're unable to give you one at this time due to high demand. I'm like, sure.
It's a game. Yeah,
there is no demand that would. Yeah. There's not even enough content creators that could satiate all those codes, especially if you're releasing it on multiple platforms. Yeah, and you have Steam codes, Xbox codes, PlayStation codes. Get fucked.
Yeah,
are you kidding me?
I just don't play the game when they reach out to me. It's like I'm a fucking answer. I don't need to like, oh, we got this port for you. You want this code? I'm like, no, bro. I'm not taking your fucking bottom feeding bullshit. Like, the hell out of here with that shit.
That's I feel for PR. Like, that's the thing that I can't wrap my head around is marketing today. Like how you even bother getting anyone's attention and how you even formulate a launch plan and like figure out a window. If I wonder about Lilymo, like we have a huge opportunity with Last Stand Media to like sell our games. Like we have an audience that we can get it in front of. Might not do very well. Tribreaker only sold like 4,000 copies or something, but it's like, that's way better than most games that are getting released into like just the void. And I don't deal with PR in this era anymore. Really, I have friends in PR and we talk about it sometimes, but they're at AAA and AA companies where it's a lot easier to get people's attention. I don't know what the fuck you do. Like, how would a Guacamelee get my attention today? Or, even a Limbo or an Inside or something. And even going older, Shadow Complex. And these games are they're not quality wise, but seemingly a dime a dozen today. And I don't know how the fuck anyone gets attention on their games. And that's why I'm saying everyone always has these strategies about like, this is how you have to get more AA games and you have to do more, you have to facilitate more indie games. And I'm like, dude, more and more and more and more is we're in for a rude awakening. Like,
that's what the Splitgate guy was trying to say. That's why he came out with the Make FPS Great hat and started talking shit about Call of Duty and mentioned Titanfall 3 out of nowhere, because I was like, that was his ploy to get attention on Splitgate 2. Well,
it worked.
Mission accomplished.
I feel sorry for the guy, kind of, because it's like, I haven't really talked about it, but it's like, I think it's stupid to think that his hat was political.
Well, I agree, especially because Kojima did the same thing.
Exactly, like so many people, it's like Muslims were saying make Muslims great again. It's like it's
It's played out. If
it's
anything,
corny. It's cringy. It's stupid.
If anything, it's offensive
you know?
because it's deeply played out at this point.
Yeah, it's so played out. It's corny. That's what it. That's the most offensive part
where
about
people
it.
were going after it. Also, the cash shop in the game was pretty ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you play Imagine Dragons.
Let's take it back to the fuck Call of Duty and their stupid microtransactions. We're going back to first person.
Here's an old idea of a soundtrack to Imagine Dragons again. You know. And I like Imagine Dragons, but it's like, oh my god, dude, can we please pick another band? Holy shit!
Fair enough. No, I'm saying shit. This is a good discussion.
Yeah,
I really,
can I ask one thing about easy modes though? I like to ask the audience, or maybe you guys too. For me, I mentioned Halo, right? Because I like to bump Halo up to legendary. Part of the reason why is because for me, Halo makes a meaningful difference in how the enemy and the challenges act.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, as Maddie said, I fucking hate when hard mode is they just become tanks and bullet sponges and they just hit me harder, and that's like the only difference, right? Like I appreciate a hard mode that makes a meaningful difference. AI changes to how they react or how the game plays, and I feel like I'm finding not a lot of games that do that sometimes, you know. I'm like, why the fuck is Halo still the most prominent example of mine? Maybe it's my own, you know, the ability to find these games. So it's like I like to ask the audience if there's or you guys, like, what games would you recommend where the hard mode, you know, really kind of redefines the experience in terms of like AI or how the actual game plays or like what the challenges are versus. It's just hard. They're just harder to hit, and they hit harder. They hit you harder.
I want to say Larian has really good height. I mean, their games are already by default fucking hard. So until you get to like the late game and then your build sick, I feel like Larian though has like unique actions that enemies will take depending on what difficulty you're on and like how much they'll press you, which I think makes their games very engaging on a harder difficulty. There's one though that's on the tip of my tongue. I know it's a turn-based game that. It's not Persona. I don't know what it is. I apologize, but yeah, I know Larian comes to mind immediately for like higher difficulties.
For me, surprisingly, Assassin's Creed Shadows. I was surprised that when the difficulty was raised, because people were telling me, you know, I was playing, they were like, "Cog, you got to put difficulty." I'm like, really? They were like, because of the stealth AI, like especially like on rooftops. You know how like you're on rooftops and the enemy acts like there's no line of sight to see you for the most part, and what I was told is like, no, you will have to crouch go full prone. Or go rooftop to rooftop. Otherwise, their AI patterns change and they will detect you. And I was like, wow, really? And I put it on. I was like, yo, that's actually pretty impressive. It felt, as a person who really values realistic stealth, I thought that was a nice touch for them. And I was like, wow, Ubisoft actually did that.
Okay, yeah. Because Splinter Cell was a series where I really like to bump it up all the way up to hard too, because that was really, really fun and immersive. And maybe I'll actually finally replay it. Maybe I'll finish Assassin's Creed Shadows after that.
Yeah, I would say Dishonored's another. I think games with stealth,
Dishonored's good.
Yeah, really function well on a higher difficulty because, you know, it's the little things like you get caught quicker. It's different. It's like a different form of like, you know, we talk about like combat games on a harder difficulty. The enemy hits you harder. Sometimes it doesn't feel very good, but when it's a stealth game where you can kind of like control how you're navigating the environment, and if the level design, like in a Dishonored 2 or Dishonored 1, is incredible, and you have all these options at your fingertips, and that like split second of the enemy seeing you is when you get spotted, like it just feels really good to get around them. So I think stealth games function really well.
Hitman too. Yeah.
Yes.
I never played Hitman. Hitman has a difficulty option?
Yep.
I didn't know that. What does it change? Do you remember?
It just makes it you know, they're just a little bit more aware, but let me just double check.
I bet it changes also like the patterns and how like long they spend time.
Normal, expert, and professional. Yeah. So
yeah, I bet it changes how much time they spend in certain spots throughout their like their life patterns and like how many people surround them. Making
they're just a little bit more aware of like what you're wearing too, you know, like
oh yeah, if you get close to them and they recognize you don't work there.
It's like why is this white guy here all of a sudden?
I'm playing Death Stranding on hard, and it's because I'm the exact opposite. Where the second playthrough, I'm like, I should probably play it on hard if I didn't already.
Gotcha. Yeah,
and it is interesting. Like your balance is a little worse and all that kind of stuff. So it does subtly change it, probably in combat too, and the health you lose and stuff. But the healthier cargo too is a little bit more precious, so you're a little bit more careful about that too. Right, but I'm building roads, so I'm like the fucking Department of Transportation out there.
Your Pete Buttigieg with his husband on the bike,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, he's with his husband on the bike.
and they have a very loving relationship. You know, it's like Trump can't be homophobic. He's like, I love that they're happy together.
Yeah,
At
like
least, you know?
you can say a lot of things about Trump. I don't really care, but it's like I truly don't believe he hates gay people.
I don't think so at all.
No, like I just don't believe that. In fact, I
You
like
probably don't understand him. He'll probably say transgendered. You know,
You're right. Yeah, and everyone will get mad at him. But yeah, I don't think that's one of the groups that he's angry about.
Yeah.
All right, guys, this was fun. I appreciate you.
Wait, real quick on
Yeah.
Trump. Do you see him when he was talking about Israel and Iran, and he was like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, it was
so funny.
crazy. You know, really, when you think about how much things have changed. But
It's so funny
like the
because
president
like
just ripping an F-bomb
Yeah.
in front of press. I was like, holy shit.
that breaks like part of journalism, because like part of journalism is you never publish or say a cuss word ever, right? But the one golden rule in traditional journalism is you can publish the word fuck if either the Pope or the president says it.
well, here we
And
are.
now the president is just saying fuck all the time. So it's like, okay, what the fuck do we do now? You know?
Yeah, that was stunning actually in some way. I mean, I talk like that, but I'm not the
Yeah, that's what I'm
president.
saying. It's like, yeah, that's what I would say if I were him and the cameras were off. But
Mhm.
I just thought it was so funny.
Well, I appreciate you guys being here today on this
of
Friday.
course.
This will go live on Monday, of course, and I hope everyone listening is enjoying their week.
Where was Dagan?
He's at too many games.
Oh, that's right. That's going on right now.
Yeah.
Everyone's there right now. Yeah.
Yeah. But let's go around the horn. Say goodbye to everyone. Gene, goodbye to you. Be well. Have a good weekend. Any big plans?
Nope. Just hanging with my girl and playing some Death Stranding 2. I'm going to show her Death Stranding 2.
Oh,
So,
wow. How romantic.
That is actually a weird thing of mine where I invite women over to my place. And I'm like, do you want to see the latest Kojima game, Bill? Yeah.
That's how you seduce, man.
Why you got to say
When I first had Laylee over my house, I showed her BioShock, the opening, mind you, where like
you
the
told me this
dude gets
before.
fuking impaled by a splicer right at the beginning of the game. She's like, this is a little creepy. I'm like, oh man, I'm setting the fucking
Yeah.
great impression here. I'm totally going to marry this chick.
It all worked out.
That should be an interesting Constellation topic. Like when you show normies, what games do you show to normies?
It reminds me of
When you invite them over,
a clip I saw online. Someone posted. It was like showing your friend like an anime that you really like, and you realize all of the shit in between.
Oh, they got me going through it right now.
I know you saw it, Cog, but you
realize
realize that like the guy's pretty much like recording like a fake reaction. He's like, yeah, the part's coming up. Oh, I don't remember this part. Yeah, I don't know why they're talking like this. Yeah, I didn't know they were doing this. Like, yeah, he just keeps like lowering the barrier.
Yeah. I showed my dad The Last of Us Part 2, and he was like astounded. He was like, what am I looking at? He was like, they look like people. They're not real people. And I'm like, no, they're not. They're just game people.
I showed my dad Invincible. I won't spoil anything, but I showed him the first episode because the first episode of that show is fucking crazy. My dad notoriously hates animated anything. Like, he needs to be real. It's something with his brain. He's just like, I just can't get into it if it's not real. And I've never seen a man more disinterested for an hour sitting there watching TV with me at that point in time. Just, glancing at his phone sometimes, just really not engaging.
Oh, wasn't interested in Invincible at all.
No, like got to the crazy part in that episode. Was like,
That's awesome.
Wow. I'll imitate his reaction. Wow.
Mhm.
That was it. That's all I got. That was all I got. Just, well, no, I was sitting there, jaw on the floor. I was like, what the fuck? I got to show everyone this, but he was not biting. So yeah, that's my story on sharing peak fiction with normies and failing.
I actually have the opposite with Death Stranding. When I show girls Death Stranding, they're like, what is this? What am I looking at? This is so interesting. This is so captivating,
Kojima allure.
Because you hear the low roar and you see these beautiful visuals, and it's like, it just feels like, absolute cinema, as the meme goes, like
that opening to Death Stranding too. I won't spoil, but just like that. Oh man.
Crazy.
I like it is
Incredible.
absolute cinema, and the visuals. Good lord, Cog, you are gonna like freak the fuck out when you see the visuals in this game, because I've heard you talk about game visuals before, but I think this game's like next level.
That's where everyone's hitting me.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn it.
Sorry, I'm not helping you right now, but it's okay. You skip.
I'm gonna show discipline.
Skip,
I'm
bro.
gonna show discipline.
Skip. Yeah.
All right, Maddie, let's go. We said goodbye to Gene. All right, so let's go to you, Maddie, next. Goodbye to you.
All right.
Be well.
Adios. Weekend plans. Let's see here. I've got none actually, and that sounds pretty good to me. Is after a lot of travel and work and everything over the last couple of months, like my birthday trip was sort of like the end of the road of all that, both fun but just a lot of busyness, a lot of traveling, everything. So settling in for a weekend sounds nice to me. I have no plans. Might go out to eat tomorrow. I think that's about it. But otherwise, just gonna relax, gonna unwind, kick my feet up, do some writing, do some gaming. I want to play Dino Crisis. I think I'm gonna do that this weekend. I've never played it before.
Well,
yeah.
You have it?
I don't know if it's good or not. I do. Well, also PS Plus has it.
Oh,
I ordered it. PS Plus has it, so I'm gonna play it on PS Plus.
That's right. I need to go back to PS Plus and get those games.
They low key kill it. I love that the state of play focuses on the classic editions too. Like Xbox, bro. Like
PS Plus, the PS Plus catalog has been killing it, man.
It's really good.
It's been like quietly, but like just being super, super solid. Like it's excellent, actually.
It gives me the same feeling I get with Game Pass now. When I open it, I go, "Oh shit, there's a lot to play here." You know, Game Pass keeps up that momentum because of the new shit they add in, but PS Plus has like really good targets for those. Like you want to catch up on games, or you just want to see what's hot. That you'll find something to play in there. But they kill me because they got the classic library, and I have so much downloaded from that alone. Yeah. There's something just amazing about playing an upscaled PSP game on my 4K television.
Play Gravity Rush or whatever, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Dino Crisis did come out, and Capcom's not putting trophies in their PS1 classics, so that's why I didn't see it ever pop up on PSN profiles. Which is a bummer.
That's a bummer
for me anyway. Yeah. Well, be well. Have a good, relaxing weekend. Sounds nice. Cog, goodbye to you. Be well. Any plans this weekend?
Yeah, just gotta catch up on what game next post alters. So we got that to decide. And then a good friend of mine is visiting who actually came out in its Pride weekend in New York City. So I'm going to show some support for my friend.
Good stuff.
And probably Sunday or Saturday decide, going to nail down whether it's going to be 16 or Death Stranding. I'll make the decision. Continue 16 or cheat for a little bit and get into the Death Stranding.
You should just do whatever you want. That's the beauty of it. It's just whatever feels right.
Yeah.
Or as we say on Sacred,
a feeling with me.
Or on Sacred Symbols, we always say, do whatever feels good, which is horrible advice.
Please look forward to it.
Please do look forward to it. All right, cool. Yeah, for me, I got a real power washer, and so I power wash my driveway. And
I saw that. I saw that you're really into that now.
Yeah, and I'm like, I was saying, Gene, on Sacred, that it's the thing I've done that in a game that is translated most to real life.
Yeah,
which is really weird. Like, not that there's anything to Power Wash Simulator, but it's really the same thing. It's just like going in lines and using even the head colors and everything are totally the same. It's a universal thing. I had no idea. I didn't know anything about it. So I'm going to go out there. I got to do around the pool. I got to mow the lawn. The lawn is fucking crazy because it's just been raining. It's fucking so hot out.
It's so fucking hot out, dude. It was like thunderstorms right now too. So like, I mean, you and I, Colin, we're in the same area.
I got really unlucky when we came home from North Carolina the following day. It was 100 out and our AC broke. And it was 85 in our house. It was pretty. I was living like Locke, man.
You have HVAC? Yeah. So we are paranoid about that happening to us. So we have like just a deal with like one of the local companies where they come and check your shit out like for a small fee every year and make sure everything's fine. And then if something
fortunately,
you have that. So and then it broke.
Yeah,
so like
what ended up happening
cool.
is we didn't get it serviced. So the guy came through and I was like, I said, look, man, I just spent a lot of money on my 30th birthday at a retro game shop. If I knew this was happening, I wouldn't have done that. So I was really crossing my fingers that it was just a servicing thing. And it fortunately was.
Oh, good.
But then the next step happened, I guess, because it was leaking so much. Now you can see, if you look at the ceiling in our bedroom, you can see like some watermarks. And now I'm worried it leaked through there. So I was up in the attic yesterday looking at it. So I'm just like, house is falling apart right now. So, I'll be keeping an eye on that over the weekend, seeing what next steps are. But that's my
home ownership turns into that movie Money Pit really quick. Remember that movie? It was like Tom Hanks.
Yeah. I'm noticing that.
That's the reason I'm willing to pay that little bit to the AC company, like a couple $100 a year, just because they come check things out, but then like they'll bump you to the top of the list if something breaks. Cause like you can't live down here without AC, it's just not, it was like 100 degrees for a few days, like where the lows were getting into like the high 70s, low 80s. I was like, this is nuts, dude.
Yeah. We had 102.
Gross. Yeah, in a city, it's going to be awful. Oh, nowhere for the heat to go.
It's cooler. It's cooler now. Thank God. But 2 days ago. Whoo.
Yeah, it said it's 84 and hazy, so I'm going to take advantage of this and get out there and do what I got to do.
Yeah, it's 75 here in DC.
Oh God, I wish
70 right now.
Oh, I wish
70, mostly cloudy.
That'd be awesome right now. All right, my boys, appreciate you. Thank you all out there for your love, kindness, and support. Patreon.com/laststandmedia for early ad-free access. Laststandmedia.store for merch. See you next time. Until then, goodbye. Constellation is a product of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand LLC and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show was conceived by and is directed and hosted by me, Colin Moriarty. My co-host is my brother, Dagan Moriarty. The show is produced by Last Stand's executive producer, Dustin Furman. All Last Stand theme music is by Ramon Narvaez, and all of our graphics and logos are by Dagan Moriarty. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's podcasts, including Constellation, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest support tier, and we're infinitely grateful for your thoughtful and kind contributions to our independent endeavor.